Lunch.com on Bettor Sports Network.
Top of the morning to you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
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 Kiss me, I'm Irish.
Okay, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Eat green, wear greens, drink green, everything's green.
It's been St. Patrick's Day for hours, and I'm still not drunk yet.
Let's drink green beer. Let's do green Jell-O shots.
One person throwing up isn't fun. A couple 100,000 people throwing up is suddenly, that's a party.
It is St. Patrick's Day. That is a huge deal.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
We got the day, we got the music, and we got the green beard and the shamrock. Welcome into Lunch Money on St. Patrick's Day 2023. Look at that guy. He's not Ray Flowers today. Today he is Raymond Blafama, which is Ray Flowers in Irish. So there you go, Ray. You've got the beard, and now you have the Irish name. How are you doing, you leprechaun, you?
I'm doing well, Kyle. Yeah, we in the Flowers household here, we like to celebrate the holidays, and my lady did me up. She wanted to give me hair, which I told her, no, don't give me hair. We can't take this all the way over the top, right? To the top, but not over the top. Looking forward to the next couple hours here with you on the show, and a good day of celebration, safe celebration, of course.
This is not a one-off for you, is it? You've done this many times, haven't you, for St. Patrick's Day?
I have, but I'm going to say this is probably the third time I've done this. It's 2 years in a row for sure. I think we've done it 3 years in a row. Okay. So yeah, it's one of those things. Years ago for July 4th, when we were dealing with COVID, I had red, white, and blue. So we've done at times I think this is why my lady likes to have me around, so I can grow a beard and she can do things with it.
Yeah, you're kind of like her third pet in the house.
Pretty much.
The one she gets to groom and kind of dress up in frilly clothes and all that. How long is this green going to stick around? Is it coming out like tomorrow morning, or will you wear it through the holiday weekend? Well,
I'll wear it through tonight. Later on this evening, I'll be covering the NFBC's draft over there at Sirius. So I'll have that for the event tonight. Unfortunately, because of the way my work day is, I'm not going to get to do a lot of drinking today until tonight.
Boo!
So, I know. Yeah. So I think what probably is going to happen is the plan will be to wash it out late tonight after some drinking after I'm done working, because you can't really lay down. I mean, you can, it's like this is get all over your pillows and stuff. So I'm in it for the long haul day today, Kyle.
Yeah. Question in the chat room already. How about Dexter and Ollie? Are they getting the green bath as well today?
They are not. They do have. Dexter has a Irish bow tie that he will probably be wearing at some point. Ollie already has a St. Patrick's Day bandana. Problem with that is he went to the park this morning and rolled around in a bunch of mud. So we're cleaning that right now. But yes, both of them will be festooned, but not dyed.
I gotta say, I don't think I have any Irish blood. You got any Irish blood in you, Ray?
Yeah, we were looking at this morning. I did the Ancestry and Me thing. Technically, I'm 11% Irish.
Okay.
But all of everything Nordic, Northern European, that's everything that you can think of as part of me, but 11% Irish.
I probably have some Irish blood in me somewhere. I'm kind of like you, Northern European, probably predominantly, or at least I think, I don't know, Dutch and German, but I would guess there's some Irish somewhere in the blood veins. But today is a day where all of us are Irish, right? We get to have fun. We are going to have fun, including, and Ray, I don't know if you're ready for this, but I think we should start it up. Usually we have our drink of the day.
Right.
At the very end of the lunch menu.
Right.
But because I'm just a raging drinker,
right.
I don't want to call myself the A word. I think we should have our drink right now.
Okay. What do you got?
Are you down for that?
I'm down for that. Sure.
I believe Ray and I are drinking the same thing today. And we're actually drinking this today. Look at that. Oh, you got it. What's that say? California?
The California special. They're donating $1 million to charities.
They don't make a Missouri special. What the hell? What?
Yeah.
Why does California get all the good stuff?
$1 per sale, up to $1 million toward local and national charitable organizations across America.
Oh, wow. Well, all my money went to a rich guy in Ireland. So, through the charities. Okay, are you a Guinness fan? We got to have this on St. Patty's. Now, I did check this with our boss, but I assume it's fine, right? It's cool. We can have fun with this.
Well, if we get fired, we're both going down together, Kyle.
Oh, we can't get fired for celebrating a holiday. Couldn't I sue him for like
religious freedom?
There you go, Ray. I'm Catholic. St. Patrick's Day.
It's religious freedoms.
Yeah, exactly. Now mine does say this is best enjoyed when poured into a glass. Is that what yours says?
That's what mine does, and I just so happen to have a Guinness glass here, Kyle, that I could pour my beer into.
Oh, is that the one from Nando?
It's
Nando
not,
Buffino?
but it's the same size. But yeah, mine got broken in shipping, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I didn't make mine.
Guinness, Guinness has been around now for almost 300 years, about 275, right around. And Ray, they have instructions. Now, are you a Guinness person? I'm not. I'm not a Guinness person.
I like Guinness. There's probably a couple times a year where I'm like, I need a Guinness, and so I'll get a 4-pack or whatever. But it's not my favorite. But I do like the difference it brings to traditional beer.
And Ray, I need to just go to a place like an authentic, really good Irish joint and just have a Guinness. Because they can be. My experience is they can run hot and cold.
Okay.
Is in terms of quality. But the instructions here, according to mine, upon opening, the famous round plastic widget that is in every can of Guinness unleashes nitrogen through the beer. That creates the creamy head and the iconic surge that is distinctively Guinness. To best enjoy, open the can and wait a moment for the nitrogen to release. Pour into a glass tilted at 45 degrees. Watch the surge settle and then enjoy. So you want to try this? How long should we wait? Any idea?
Do you have I think after we open it, you mean?
I got a glass.
Oh yeah, I think I usually wait like 10 seconds.
Yeah, mine. Ray, this is the upstairs Strawberry Alley. This is from Clarksville, Tennessee.
Yeah, this is from
is where I'm repping Clarksville, Tennessee here. So I'm going to open this sucker.
All right.
Oh wow, I probably shouldn't have opened it right by my computer.
For the keyboard, I'm gonna do mine now.
Man, look at this head. Look at this bubble. Can you see that? Look at that. We got crazy nitrogen in mine.
You did. You might have shaken yours a little too much.
It's too shake, or either that, or it's been sealed for like 6 years.
Okay, yeah, mine's new because it's this year's version.
Ooh, it smells good. Okay, so you think it's released enough?
I think it's good. Let's do it.
Who's gonna pour the better Guinness?
Probably you. You have a smaller glass.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but you have an official Guinness glass.
I do, but it doesn't mean I'm doing it right.
I don't think I did it right. I might have to sip this. This is gonna come out right to the top.
Is that really gonna fit in there? Whoa! I'm
right
surprised,
to the
Kyle.
top, Ray. This isn't my first rodeo. I know how to pour a beer, buddy. Now, I heard the nitrogen thing there.
The little ball.
So when do I start to see? Oh, I'm seeing a little bit of the cloud. See it? See the cloud?
Yep.
Okay. Now, am I supposed to let this rest?
You're supposed to let it rest a little bit. I've already got. Let's see here.
Let's see. Nice pour, Ray.
Thank you. I've got a head going already.
Yep. Yours looks a little better than mine, I think.
Well, again, I cheated. I have the Guinness glass, like you said.
Yeah.
But
well, you can see a little. Let me see if I can see your cloud. Yeah, I can see it a bit. Yeah, mine doesn't look like the commercials. Yours looks more like the commercials. Okay, so Guinness on St. Patty's Day. Our drink of the day is obviously Guinness. Ray, shall we indulge?
Sure. I wonder if this is going to get. Am I going to get a mustache on my mustache?
Very nice. Okay. Cheers to everybody on this St. Patrick's Day.
Cheers.
Not bad. I haven't had one in at least a year. And if you haven't had it in a while, Ray, it's unique. You know what? I give it credit for that. Nobody can fake this. You know you're drinking a Guinness, right?
You do. And you know what I really like? It's kind of like the Irish coffee when you get the cream on top. I do like the foam. It's really different, you know?
You know what throws me off a bit with the Guinness is it just because when I drink a beer, I expect, that alcohol, that fizz, that that carbonation. You don't get that at all with this.
No.
And I guess that's what I miss. I feel like this is all, and I'm not saying it tastes like water, but Ray, I feel like it's like I'm slamming it like water because there's no bite or nothing that really catches up to you.
Yeah, you could definitely drink it quickly. And this is what I'm saying. Not that I don't know if this is the right way to say it. I'm not a foodie, but it like cuts things, right? Yeah. Like if you had something spicy or sharp, like and you drank this, it would kind of mellow your palate out, which I kind of like. Like I'm a big fan, as everyone knows, of the fruity and all that, but this is different completely. But I do enjoy it as well.
Yeah, this is good stuff here. The old Guinness from the Strawberry Alley Brewery. Ray has an actual look at yours. Yours is hanging on the side. It's got the tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got that. Should I just down this thing like an Irish car bomb?
like an Irish what?
What's the shot with the Irish car bomb? Is it? I'm guessing it's like whiskey. Irish.
Is it? Let's look it up. I'm not even sure. It's been so. No, I want to say it's. What's the cream liqueur thing?
Oh, it's not Bailey's. It's not something like that. No, I think it's like a whiskey shot or something.
Where's car bomb? Let's look this up. Yeah, it's whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey. You drop it in here. Now, these are actually good. When you do the Irish car bomb and slam it, it's actually a good one.
According to liquor.com, it's half an ounce of Irish whiskey and half an ounce of Irish cream.
Oh,
Bailey's Irish cream, so it's half and half.
We were both right. I would probably go a full ounce on both.
That might.
Well, that's good. And I'll be honest with you, Ray. I'm going to have a second one of these today on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, you got to do it with me. I don't want to be the guy. Ray has to be. Ray, we're a team, right?
We are a team. That's true.
What kind of work do you? You said you have FSG, or what do you have? Labor?
I have NFBC, the $5,000 entry diamond.
Oh, Ray, you're going to want to be looped for that.
I got to update the draft book over at fantasyguru.com.
Oh, jeez, gosh. Celebrate St. Patty's, Ray. Jeez.
Yeah.
Not half bad. It's a kind of a one and done. But I'm glad that our first ever actual drink here on Lunch Money was a lunchtime Guinness.
I'll say this: we of course, since I'm 11% Irish, we're doing the whole cabbage, potatoes, the corned beef, and the corned beef will actually be stewed in Guinness. We're going full on. Yeah,
that's well done.
Yeah.
I don't think we're doing anything special. We might have salmon tonight. So.
Oh, that's nice though.
Yeah, but it's not Irish, is it? I don't think it is. Who knows? Anyway, hopefully you can celebrate. Maybe we're rubbing it in. Somebody's sitting at their office and they're like, man, I would kill to be with my buddies at some Irish parade, or I'd love to be watching the NCAA tournament with a Guinness in hand. Well, you can live vicariously through Ray and I. We'll enjoy the Guinness. The other positive here, let me say this too. Mine's cold. But Ray, this is something that you don't have to gulp. You can enjoy it as it kind of warms up. So
yeah,
not that will stop me from gulping it, but it does have that advantage compared to other beers. Okay, so a little different on the lunch menu today. We went with our drink early in honor of St. Patrick's Day. What did he do? Did he rid Ireland of snakes? Isn't that the rumor?
That's the rumor. Yeah.
Are there no snakes on Ireland? I guess not, huh?
They've been rid by the saint.
Yeah, but surely they came back in on a boat or something at a dock. There's got to be snakes. Somebody check that. Are there snakes in Ireland, or are they still gone? Are they still frightened off by the ghost?
Feast of St. Patrick, cultural holiday, based upon the death. Yeah, I'm reading this. That's the story.
Yeah, but are snakes in Ireland? Google, does Ireland have snakes?
Okay, does Ireland?
Yeah. I mean, my backyard has snakes, but does Ireland?
Ireland is not the only place in the world without snakes. There are no native species to be found in Iceland, Greenland, Hawaii. So, according to this, there are no snakes in Ireland.
Wow. Okay. That's power, baby. That's why you get a date every year, March 17th. And a lot of people, there's a lot of patron saints out there, but nobody is so powerful that everyone celebrates the saint. Not like St. Patrick. Anyway. We got business, right? We got to get down to business today. Ray, let's start with our appetizer. What are you going with today as we get rolling here on Lunch Money?
Look at that. By the way, if people missed any of the intro and I missed guys pouring their beers out, go to Twitter at Bettor Network, and there's a picture of Kyle and I both pouring our drinks at the same time. So everyone should check that out.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, you have to check that out. It's a good shot there. Okay, so my appetizer is kind of broad-based here. Let's talk the Major League Baseball schedule, because we haven't directly talked about it. We both hinted at it over time and time, but let's look at this a little bit. Major League Baseball is changing things this year. We used to have an unbalanced schedule where you played all the games in your division and all that. They're changing it up this year. Okay. We're having 52 games in the team's division. Used to be 76. So that's a substantial change. Okay. So less games against your division. There used to be 66 games against the rest of the league. It's 64 now. So that's pretty even. It's more about directly your interdivision matchups. But there used to be 19 or 20 interleague games. They're now 46. Okay, I'm not a fan of this. Everyone that followed my work for a time knows that I'm not a fan of this. I wanted the playoffs to be the World Series of the two matching. I lost that battle, fine. But Major League Baseball is all in on this now. Because again, we're more than doubling the interleague matchup. So let's take this out further. What does this mean, practically speaking? The Cardinals and the Giants, our two teams, Kyle, this is from Jason Stark. Our two teams will see the greatest increase in air miles this year because of the new setup of any team in baseball. The Cardinals will add almost 9,000 miles in the air this year to last season. The Giants will add 11,000 air miles, okay? The Cardinals will be in the air for 35,000 miles. The Giants, 46,000, okay? The A's, 51,000. So if you live out in California, you're screwed by this. So
here we go again. Another thing, another excuse for California getting screwed over.
We have our own Guinness, but the players get screwed. So I mean, but that's, you know, that's substantial. I mean, think about that, right? Like that's a big difference, Kyle. That's a lot of time in the air.
It is. It is
a lot of time in the air.
Well, I'll say, and maybe that's in the article, right? You know, the Cardinals do go to London this year.
Yeah, if it wasn't for London, they'd be much lower. That's why they saw.
So that I think that's why the Cardinals are that high.
Yeah.
Isn't it Seattle? The Mariners have traditionally always been at the lead of this because they would fly out east, and it's the biggest trip you could ever dream of. You know.
Well, the A's too. Like I said, with the A's, with the way the division is set up, the A's are going from 43,000 last year to 51,000 this year.
What's San Francisco? I guess just interleague play and having to go to New York and Boston. I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. It further screwed the Giants. The Giants don't play a road game in California. Okay. Padres are in California. Angels are in California if you want to do that. Obviously, the Dodgers are in California. They don't play a road game in California until June 16th. 2.5 months of the season go by with two division rivals in the state before the Giants play a road game in the state because they're traveling all east. April is really bad for the Giants.
Well, and Ray, April's also a bad weather month.
And that's
if those games get rained out or canceled, that's going to add even more headaches to their schedule.
And that's the next point, and the point all of this really leads to. What are we doing? I get marketing, and they're trying to. I get the intent here, but there are 15 teams in each league, so there's always an interleague game going on because that's the way the schedule's set right now. Unless they go to 32 teams or whatever, fine. But what happens now that you play every team? Okay, what if a game gets rained out? What if it's postponed? What if it's canceled? Do teams on off days have to fly somewhere to play one game? Do a bunch of teams end up playing 160 games this year instead of 162 because they can't figure it out with the schedule? Because you're talking about every team playing every other team. It's not as easy, we'll just add it to next homestand against the Dodgers. You can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen, especially in April, and we saw a lot of this last year, what's going to happen when these games have weather issues? Are teams going to have to now sit at the stadium for 7 hours because they got to get the game in because they're not going to see this team again all season long? Otherwise, they're going to have to take some random day in August when they're supposed to have an off day and fly 3,000. Like, what are they going to do? I think there could be some serious unintended consequences with this, Kyle.
There could. I wouldn't term it serious. There could be consequences. You know, a lot of times, like a team like San Francisco, Ray, when they're on their East Coast trip, and I think they take usually a couple a year, maybe 3 a year because they got to get everybody. And this is before this year's schedule. You know, you'll kind of finish, let's say your last spot is DC or New York, you know. They'll usually try to end that series on a Wednesday so that in effect you get, you know, you travel Wednesday night, and they'll also try to give you Thursday off in a best case scenario. That's what they try to do for teams that are West Coast teams and they have to travel back west. And then they start up a new series at home or wherever on Friday. That's what they try to do, but it doesn't always work. You're right. I guess that off day would now be, we got to make up that game at Fenway. Let's race up there. And that's a no-nothing trip, but it is an extra game. It tightens the schedule. You know, you do have to remember they get the days off in April. Now, any manager, any player would say, I'd rather have the days off in July, the days off in August, the days off in September. I think there could be consequences. One I could really see, Ray, is that what was supposed to be maybe a home game against Minnesota now becomes a road game in Minnesota because, here's the Giants. They're leaving Milwaukee on a Wednesday. The Twins are already going to be home. Instead of playing that game back in San Francisco, let's just send the Giants to Minnesota, you know, and they'll play that game. So I think that would be a consequence. And then all of a sudden you have, they played 83 games on the road and only 79 at home. That may not sound like much, but Ray, the rest of the league's playing 81 and 81. So I think there could be consequences. The younger version of myself doesn't like this because you and I both grew up, National League is this, American League is this. But even growing up that way, Ray, we're so far removed from that. We were joking last week about, the Braves used to be in the NL West. The Reds used to be in the NL West. We had all the Brewers used to be in the American League. Houston used to be in the National League. Like, we've had a lot of changes, expansion teams, all of that. We've had a ton of changes in the last 30, 40 years. And we've kind of gradually just accepted all of them. And we've gotten to the point when you whittle Ray, you've just taken away all the NLAL stuff. And this is another step in that direction, Ray, is this is another reason that there isn't a National League. There isn't an American League. It's because we're playing Seattle every year. It's because you're playing the Arizona Diamondbacks every year. It's more of an NHL, NBA, NFL sort of schedule. And I will say, I prefer the old way. Mm-hmm. But what I like about this way, Ray, and this comes to one of our evergreen topics on the show, is, hey, guess who I get to see this year in St. Louis? Guess who I actually, Ray, they ran like a $5 a ticket special about a month ago in St. Louis. And I'll tell you this, it was very easy for me to dial up my baseball buddies, 3 or 4 of them here in St. Louis. Very easy to say, hey, guys, you want to go out? I think it's early May. You want to go out and watch Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani? Now you get to do that every 2 years, Ray. With the way they've set this schedule, Julio Rodriguez will come to every major league city every other year. And Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. That part of it, Ray, I kind of like. Not necessarily for me, but for everybody else. I'm kind of excited to see Ohtani. Unfortunately, baseball will probably give him the day off after he pitched the night before, but I'm excited for that. And I think that is I don't know if it's significant bonus to the switch, but I think it is a true bonus to the switch in the schedule.
Look, I get it. And I've said all along that Major League Baseball needs to do a better job of marketing, right? They need to sell their stars. And this is certainly a way to do that. Because when we were growing up, it was the All-Star game and it was the World Series. And that was it. And, if you lived in St. Louis, you never saw Jose Canseco. You never saw Mark McGwire until he came there, right? So I get it. But I'm worried more about the practical aspect of things. And maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy with this, but, adding 10,000 miles of air time, talking about crisscrossing the country, traveling, talking about a team not playing a road game when there's 3 teams within 400 miles, not playing a game there for 2.5 months, half the season. Those kind of rain delays. What does this do? Do we start having stupid double headers now that are 7-inning affairs and all this kind of stuff? So I worry about more the practical stuff, but from a broad picture, the MLB would rather say, well, I know CJ Cron, your back is sore, but tough, get an airplane, right? Because they want to sell the sport. I get it, but it's just, practically speaking, I think there could be some issues.
Yeah. And nothing's going to go perfect. I mean, everybody needs to realize we got, 30 teams playing 162 games apiece. I mean, there's going to be screwy things that happen. And part of that's the joy, part of that's the integrity of the season. You still have to play. Everybody's still playing 162. Everybody's got issues. And maybe this will just be an extra one for a couple of those teams. My app is a follow-up to yesterday's app. It's a quick one. Yesterday, I gave you my rundown of the Thursday NCAA tournament games. I wouldn't call it a hugely entertaining day. Honestly, we got to Thursday night, and I know Ray wasn't watching, but I was watching. And Ray, the last 4 games were total duds. There were still second halves to go in 2 games, and I turned it off. I watched I watched part 1 of 3 of a investigative doc or whatever you want to call it of Malaysian Airlines 370
on Netflix. Yeah, I got that queued up.
Yeah. Which I watched only 1 episode. I thought it was okay. I always feel with these documentaries, they don't need to be 3 parts. You could really get everything you need in a 90-minute special. I don't need 3 hours. So we'll see how it goes. But I thought it was okay. It was more entertaining than the NCAA tournament last night because the games were just bad. They were blowouts. So I turned it off. And moved on to other things. I did not do well in my picks against the spread yesterday. It was 7-9. So we're going to try to flip that 7 to a 9 and flip that 9 to a 7. So here are my picks for today. And unfortunately, we've already got one game underway, Michigan State, USC. That's a tough one, too. They've got, about 15 minutes to go in the first half, and USC is trailing by 3. I'm going to take Michigan State to cover for 1.5. Later, I'm going to take Xavier covering an 11.5-point spread against Kennesaw State. I will take the underdog UC Santa Barbara Gauchos against Baylor. I like them straight up, to tell you the truth. We were talking about that game earlier this week. They are a 10.5-point dog, so I'll take UC Santa Barbara to finish within 10.5. VCU, I am surprised. I know the rankings say 12 versus 5, and VCU's at 12. I don't think they're all that much worse than St. Mary's. They are a 4.5-point dog. I will take VCU there. Give me Marquette as a 10.5-point favorite over Vermont. Give me Iowa State as a 3.5-point favorite over Pitt. I will take underdog NC State against Creighton. I really struggled and went back and forth with this one, but I'll take NC State at plus 5.5. UConn's favored by 9 against Rick Pitino of Iona. I'm going to go with UConn. Purdue gets Fairleigh Dickinson, who we learned the other day is a college out of New Jersey, and the co-founder of Home Depot is also from Fairleigh Dickinson. The run ends tonight. Purdue's favored by 22.5. I'll take Purdue to cover. Kentucky, take them to cover 4.5 against Providence. Drake, Miami. This is everybody's upset, right? Just like Furman, Virginia. Drake, Miami is everybody's upset. I'll follow that line of thinking. Give me Drake, who is a 2.5-point dog. Gonzaga is going to cover their 15.5 against Grand Canyon. Florida Atlantic and Memphis, 8-9 game. Give me Florida Atlantic, who is a 2.5-point dog in that toss-up. I got K-State covering against Montana State at 8.5. I've got Indiana covering as a 4.5-point favorite against Kent State. And finally, Arizona State and TCU. Give me the Sun Devils. I occasionally wear their sweatshirt, so why not? Arizona State is a 4.5-point dog. I will take Arizona State against TCU. There you go, Ray. 16 games that you'll never watch.
Man, I got to tell you, I don't know if it's the 4 ounces of Guinness that I drank, but I just don't care. I really don't. And I know so many people do. It's really interesting because I was thinking about this. On my timeline, I follow, baseball and football people and all that. There's nothing about the tournament, like no, which I appreciate, because normally when anything happening in the sports world, it's like, So I know there's a massive group of people that love this and live on it. I'm just, unfortunately, I try, Kyle. I'm just not involved.
I just love the competition. And Ray, what we don't get in American sports is a bracket like this. And I grew up, Ray, loving brackets. I would create baseball tournaments that were brackets and basketball tournaments, and I'd play the Stratomatic games, and I'd always bracket them. It was just fun to watch it come together and stuff. And I think that's an attraction here. I think the fact that you don't have to know anything about it and you can still have fun watching it. I think the fact that, when there's 68 teams, there's no real expert on all 68 teams. So nobody feels like they're dumb if they have no idea who the hell plays for Montana State. Nobody feels dumb. It's kind of like, everybody come on in, have some fun. I think also the fact that it's, in effect, Ray, a work holiday for people. And it's a sports work holiday. Like, there are people who just take off for this day. Whether they watch all the games or not, they do enjoy them. We will keep you up to date on the games going on this afternoon. We got 8 of them in the daytime hours, 8 of them in the nighttime hours. We will take a preview. In fact, that is our main course for tonight, coming up a bit later in the show, probably in the middle of hour 3. Our buddy Mike Holland is going to join us, Green Screens Media. We've been visiting with him every Friday for the past 5-6 weeks or so, kind of leading you up to the tournament. Now that we're in the madness, Mike is going to join us with some of his thoughts from yesterday, today, look ahead to tomorrow for some of those round of 32 games. So we'll get to that in hour 3. As for the side dishes today on Lunch Money, we've got a little bit more on the shortstop position as well as the NL Central. Take a look at all of the prospects that we have at shortstop. And, Ray, we've discussed it all week with shortstop. It's loaded, it's strong, it's deep, it's all that. Ray, and look at the prospects, man. It's everywhere. And I get it's a really important position. After pitcher, maybe the most important position on the field. But Ray, they just keep coming, man. It feels like we're in a glory day. I don't know. I guess the glory days, a lot of people say, oh, no, remember Nomar and Tejada and A-Rod and Jeter and all those guys. Ray, we're pretty stacked at this position with a lot of youth still coming up at shortstop.
Yeah, some of the most exciting players in baseball. Jackson Holliday, the #1 pick with the Orioles. You've obviously got Ellie De La Cruz with the Reds, who almost went 30-50 last year. Anthony Volpe, who everyone's excited about. And then you look at the big league level right now, and you have, outright youngsters like Bobby Witt and Wander Franco. You still got youthful guys like Bichette, and it's a wild position, bringing all kinds of talent, all kinds of skill sets, and it's pretty young and pretty damn impressive.
I don't know how many of these youngsters we'll get to see a whole lot of this year, but we will run you through the list. As for the NL Central, Side Dish there is going to take a look at perhaps some under-the-radar possibilities with each of the 5 teams in the NL Central. We've been talking about that division all week long here on Lunch Money, so we'll finish up there. NFL free agency is continuing. We've got a home for Gardner Minshew. We've got a home for Mike Gesicki, as well as some other B-level free agents that we'll tell you about. Let's see, a stroll down memory lane. Today is my day, right, for the Packs?
Yeah.
Looks like we're down to 2 hockey, Upper Deck, Pro Set. And we do have baseball. Kind of leaning towards this. Tops, 1989. Upper Deck is 91-92, and Pro Set is 1990. If you would like to vote on which pack you'd like to see us open, let us know in the chat room. Hit us up on Twitter, however you want to do it. And we may follow your lead. I don't know. Sometimes I just like to do my own thing. But we will have a stroll down memory lane. Treasure Trove is coming your way as well. The Lunch Hunch, all that good stuff. Let's move to our bet du jour. Top bet of the day, and you guessed it, it's NCAA tournament. Gonzaga favored by 15.5 against Montana State. Give me the Zags. Just hand it over, 15.5. That game's going to tip off at 8:35 tonight. So it's one of the third games, if you will, of the 4-game windows that we have. 15.5. I think they should be near 20. I think the Zags just run too much. They have too much talent. They kind of have that killer instinct, I think, here in the first round. I'm not seeing anything from Montana State. I mean, they won the conference tournament, but they went 10-7 in that conference this year. So they're going to run into a buzzsaw. I think Gonzaga will buzzsaw them pretty well. That is -110 to take the Zags to cover the 15.5. As for dessert today, have you ever wondered, man, if my car ever broke down, what state would I want it to break down in? Because you want to find friendly people. I'll tell you this, don't let it break down in Ray Flowers State. Don't let it break down in California, I'll tell you that. We will tell you the states that you should choose to have unfortunate opinions or for unfortunate occurrences. And then the states that you should pray you never get stranded in. We're going to talk about politeness. And as you know, I mean, Ray seems to be a polite guy.
Generally.
As soon as he walks out his front door, he becomes like the rest of that state. Maybe you guys get crapped on, Ray, because you're just not polite. You guys don't have any manners in California.
Maybe we're not polite. Here's a shout out at the electric company, PG&E, here in the Bay Area. The power's out. We had a storm and everything. My brother's power is still out. It's been over 3 days. Over 3 days, and we live in Silicon Valley. True story. He is one of 24 houses that doesn't have power, which I don't even know. How is there a grid with 24 houses on it? So maybe that's why people are so angry, Kyle. They can't even get things like their, refrigerator to work here in California.
I feel like California has been in a 3-month storm. Doesn't it feel like that?
Well, we have. And to be fair, there were 70-mile-an-hour winds and trees and power lines. I get it, okay? But we're not living in the mountains. We are legitimately living in Silicon Valley, and it's been 3+ days for a 1-day storm. So maybe that's why people get a little testy around here. They need like the finer things, or at least the normal things, such as power.
When are you going to open your house up to your brother, Ray? I mean, how much longer does he have to go without electricity before Ray Flowers says, hey, bring your family over here. You guys can have my bed. You can even be in the background of my show. We got to be getting to that point, right, Ray?
Monday. Yeah.
Monday. You're going to make him suffer through the weekend.
I've offered it's been declined.
It's been declined. What are his kids do? Are they going to school? Are they?
They're going to school.
Right,
yeah, they're going to school.
Okay.
So yeah.
So is your brother and his wife just sitting around the house staring at the walls, or do they have a work to go to?
Yeah, well, their daughter's out. This is her actually week to go visit colleges. The school puts on a program, so she's doing that. So she's fine. She's with all her friends enjoying that. Otherwise, at least the time changed, so it's sunny a little longer, right? So you got a little bit of that, but
cheers to that, baby.
Yeah, here you go. Cheers. But for those people, I mean, when your power is out, think of it, because mine has gone out multiple times recently. When that happens, like something as simple as where are you going to charge your phone? Like I got to go and plug my phone in the car. Like you can't, like very simple things that you totally take for granted. You can order food in and all that, but after 3 days, your fridge is done. There goes, $500, $1,000 of food, toilet. So I know first world problems, but it's an issue.
This, Ray, at the very least, is when you invest in one of those giant Yeti coolers and you fill it with ice. That'll get you through 5-6 days, easy.
Well, we're gonna have, and I told them obviously the move is to get solar panels so that you can store the energy and then you don't have to worry about it. But we're gonna have to start buying generators in California. I mean, something that in your neck of the woods, a lot of people have, right? I think we're gonna have to start doing that out here.
Yeah, we got them for storms and such, and the power, when snow falls, the power lanes get heavy and they'll split in half. So I don't have one, but a lot of people do have generators out here. So someday I'll be in your boat and I'll say, why didn't I ever buy that generator? I should have listened to Ray Flowers on St. Patrick's Day 2023. Instead, I'm more interested in drinking a Guinness. So that's what we're going to do. We'll take a time out here. Lunch menu is set. When we come back, we've got big news that we have been waiting on for literally about a month. Today is the day. We'll tell you what that news is. Also, we'll run you through those shortstop prospects. Are any of them worth drafting and stashing? That is the question we will answer next. Stay with us. More of Lunch Money coming your way right here on BSN.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glauber, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr. And I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it, a guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafolo. So I went with it. Got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave. Because, accuracy to me is really important.
Yeah.
So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I'm hunched over. And I just, literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Polamalu. And Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Polamalu, then how do you handle that? What was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garafolo's name on there. I had to
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
He wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Bettor Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
How bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. They were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? I'm not sure he will ever either, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him. So I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player. So he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft. So he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this. He hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle. So maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network. It's always lunchtime here. Now back to Kyle Elfrink and Ray Flowers.
That sounds Irish, I suppose. This may be the closest I get to Irish music today, what we're listening to here on Lunch Money. Do you go that far, Ray? Do you kick up some tunes in the background that make you feel like you're, gallivanting around Dublin on a Friday night?
Yes, I do actually. It's Sirius XM's got Pandora. You can go and click stuff in there. I've been listening to Celtic Twilight in the evening, a little bit tamer version than that kind of thing.
What is it? What is it like? Whispering to the weeping willows? What?
No, it's more it's kind of folk music, but it's kind of like more acoustic kind of versus the rambunctious get up and drink 13 beers.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Oh, and by the way, I looked this up. The first time I did this was 2017.
Oh wow!
So this has been going on
every year.
Yeah, every year. I didn't realize it. I did some recon on Facebook, and yeah, I'm way involved in this apparently.
Yeah, so this is now 7 consecutive years for Ray Flowers. 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 7 years for Ray Flowers to go with the beautiful green beard. There it is. We will celebrate more of our ripped off Irish holiday. Continue that as we do here on Lunch Money. Got a lot of baseball today. In fact, we'll start with baseball. Before we get to that, though, quick update on the NCAA tournament, because I know if you're following us, you can't really follow that stuff. Right now, we got Michigan State in a good spot, 24-15. With about 8 minutes to go, they've just reached the 8-minute media timeout. So Michigan State up by 9, and literally just tipping off right now, third-seeded Xavier taking on number 14 Kennesaw State. Again, about 2 hours from now, we'll be talking NCAA tournament with Mike Holland of Green Screens Media. For the time being, it is baseball. And Ray, I forewarned everybody that today is the day. Today we've been, we've been waiting for something for weeks now. And today we actually get to see it. Word on the street, Ray, is that Yordan Alvarez is going to actually step into a batting cage and take live BP on a real baseball diamond. Today is the day for Yordan Alvarez. About a month later than we would have hoped, I guess.
Yeah, and he's been a really tough guy to downgrade because he's so good. At the same time, he's not been on the field. It's also the carryover effect from last year. So this, the next 2 weeks, next couple of days, I guess, actually, because a lot of people are drafting this weekend, are huge. People have to make that determination. Are you going to trust he took some swings and felt good today? You're going to trust that after we've had that carryover effect? He can obviously be an MVP candidate, but there's not many guys being drafted higher that have a higher level of concern at the moment.
I think you can still say he's back into the first round. I don't love him. I just think it's not so much that he hasn't done anything in spring. The bigger factor is this was something that bothered him last year, and it's back again this year. And we got 6 months to go with baseball. So not to say he can't win an MVP or can't play 135 games, but there's something to be said for saying, you know what? I can either go with this guy who's got a bit of an issue with his hand, or I can go with this guy who's totally healthy and just about the same player. And so often I'm going to lead to the healthy player on that side. But good news for Alvarez. We'll see if he gets in a game maybe early next week. Elsewhere in spring training, the name Clark Schmidt, that might not mean a whole lot to some of you out there. It may start to mean a little bit more as we go forward. Clark Schmidt is a pitcher with the Yankees. Yesterday, Ray, was 5 scoreless innings. He was up against the Pirates. For what it's worth, they had their regulars, if you will. He is now 11 2/3 innings in the spring, Ray, and he's got 17 strikeouts against 1 walk in 11 2/3 innings. He's probably going to make the rotation considering the issues the Yankees have right now. What do you think of Clark Schmidt for this season in fantasy?
Yeah, I think the question with Schmidt is beyond talent. He's got talent. He's got skills. It's health and long-term role. For a while now, he's kind of been on the cusp. He's supposed to be the next, the Yankees haven't developed too many young pitchers, have they? He's supposed to be their guy on the hill, and he's had some starts and stops there, and the Yankees have gone out, and they always bring veterans in. So I think this is not a make or break season for him, but it kind of is, in terms of, is he actually going to fulfill expectations of being, a lead guy in a rotation? Is he going to fall into a swingman role? How's this going to go? Is he going to get traded ultimately? I think right now he's got a live arm, and he's going to get the opportunity. And it's one of those things, again, is he making 6 starts, 16 starts? Is he going to make 30 starts? If he pitches all season long, there's going to be fantasy value there. If he's in the rotation all season long, there could be bumps in the road. There's workload concerns. I think he is someone that you take late. He's a reserve round option. You kind of roll the dice, right? We talk all the time about taking risk. He's got to take a risk on because you can dream on the arm. There's no stability there or certainty there, but he's got a nice arm.
I might go low 20s for starts. High teens.
It could happen.
Yeah. I kind of think that they have so many dudes who could be in and out, and we're already seeing that with, Nestor Cortez, who knows where he's really at. Guys like Severino and Herman, they always find something that pulls them out of the rotation. We're about due for a Garrett Cole IL stint. I mean, we just are. He's thrown so many innings and has avoided the IL. So I think Schmidt may be an arm they don't rely on, but an arm that they need throughout the season. Speaking of the Yankees, Jason Dominguez, the Martian, as he's referred to, he's had a great spring. He has been sent to the Yankees minor league camp. So if you were dreaming on him getting to the major league roster, that is not going to happen. Elsewhere, Austin Hayes having a really good spring for Baltimore. Another home run yesterday. He's up to 4 homers, 10 ribbies, doing all that in 22 at-bats. And then, Ray, another guy having a great spring is Franmil Reyes, who was a minor league non-roster invitee to the Kansas City Royals. And, Ray, Franmil Reyes is hitting and hitting and hitting. And honestly, if I'm the Royals, Ray, he's on this team. I don't care what kind of youngster or rookie you have or we'd like to get this guy some major league seasoning. You just go with Franmil Reyes if you're the Royals. And the reason I say that is all he is trade bait. That is all he is worth. You're not going to win an AL Central title. You're not going to win 90 games. You bring in Franmil Reyes, Ray. You hope he has a good 3 months and you flip him. I mean, he needs to be on this team. And if he is hitting, Ray, he will be desirable come July.
Yeah, he's a really interesting guy. I've seen him, by the way, listed on the Cubs still. Like, there are places that haven't even updated the fact he's not on the Cubs anymore because he's such like an afterthought, which is remarkable. He's had 3 seasons in his career. He's played 100 games. 2 of them, he's hit 30 home runs.
Yep.
With 80 RBIs. And there's concerns there with contact. He's horrible at making contact. He hits the ball really hard, but doesn't lift it a lot. So there's definitely holes in his game, but you're totally right. This is a team that could use, who couldn't use a 30 home run bat? Everyone could use a 30 home run bat. There's no one blocking him here. There's no youthful guy they got to give the bats to. They don't have a lot of power hitters throughout the lineup either. He is definitely someone who's had this strong spring and is going to get a look early. If he goes out there and it's a 40% strikeout rate in April, he's gone in May, right? And that's it. And, but like you said, if he starts out well and, 2-3 months into this, he's hitting the ball well, there will be plenty of teams looking for his services at the trade deadline.
Well, and it's the same thing, Ray, in fantasy baseball circles. You were talking about Clark Schmidt as a, reserve round flyer. Same thing with Reyes, man. Ray, you got a guy who legitimately has done it twice, 30 home runs. Now, you're not getting anything more than that. It's kind of like Jorge Soler, the ex-Royal, to where you're just really hoping for home runs. You're going to have strikeouts. It's not like Franmil Reyes all of a sudden is going to go to a 20% strikeout rate. That ain't happening. He's always going to strike out, and he's never going to really have an average. But you could get some homers and ribbies. And again, Ray, 27th round, 28th round, why not? And if he sucks, you cut him. There's nothing lost there drafting Franmil Reyes. And I say that dart you throw, Ray, because honestly, when you get to the 26th, 27th, 28th round, I'm not going to say there's junk there and there's nobody worth having, but there aren't guys who, wow, I can actually make a legitimate argument that they can be upper tier in any category. You can make an argument that this guy is good in 3 categories, or wow, he could hit 280, or he could hit me 15, 20 steals, like those kind of guys you draft. But Franmil Reyes, Ray, is a guy who, if everything were to occur, he could finish top 10 in the American League in home runs. It's not far-fetched for that. And in the 28th round, it plays. It works. If you need power, he's a perfect guy to grab.
Yeah, in the 15-team mixed league for labor, and I wrote this up over at fantasyguru.com. You can just type it into your browser. It's free. Everyone can read it. I talked about my team, and I had a need in the outfield, and I had a need for power. So in this 15-team mixed league, I took Franmil Reyes in the 27th round.
Wow.
It's exactly the reasons that we're discussing here. Realizing as well that if it doesn't work, it's a 27th round pick, and that's okay, right? I can go to the waiver wire. You're going to change 40% of your team throughout the year anyway. So, and you look at the guys that were taken around him, in the outfield of the power department, there were none. The only guys that were taken in the outfield at that point were Tyrone Taylor, Victor Robles, Juan Yepes, Sal Frelick, and Leotis Tavares, who doesn't have power. So, to your point, I mean, Nolan Gorman was a player someone else grabbed. Same kind of idea for the power component. But yeah, Reyes has got concerns, but it could pay off handsomely if he can get in that lineup every day.
Get you some more spring insights as we continue on Lunch Money, but let's get back to the shortstop position. All week long, Ray and I have been tackling this position that is really thick with talent. It's loaded at the top. It's very strong in the middle. Even on the back end, there are guys that deserve to be drafted. It is also a position that is quite strong in youth and prospects that we may get to see coming up later this year. And I think that's the key part here, Ray. It's like may get to see. People love drafting rookies and people even love waiting around on rookies. And honestly, the wait has become shorter, I think, as the years have gone by. Guys we used to think, oh, that's going to be September. Well, now it's July. Guys we used to think, oh, that's post All-Star break. Now it's June. And Ray, we see plenty of guys in May. I mean, Adley Rauschman is a great example last year. We see guys break with the team. We're going to see more of that this season. With these shortstops that I'm looking at, and again, this list is, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 long. And some of these guys are worth drafting in leagues, others are not. But I've got 11 guys here, right? Probably 3 of them have a chance of breaking camp. The 2 guys with the Yankees, Peraza and Volpe, and that's questionable, maybe only one of them. And then Ezekiel Tovar of Colorado, who everybody assumes is going to be their starting shortstop. Other than that, Ray, all these other guys you're kind of just drafting and holding. So I ask you, Elly De La Cruz is one of the top prospects in baseball. Is he draftable and holdable, though? Is he a guy, like you look at the Reds and what they are, when are we going to see De La Cruz?
It's a great question. I've got a series of articles over at fantasyguru.com. We've got an entire section about rookies. Huge scouting reports for hitters, pitchers. Rob Povia, who we had on the show yesterday, been having on every Thursday. He's got an article looking at all these youngsters, including into college. So he's even going further than that. I have a top 50 rookies, fantasy rookies for this season in that. And I've got Elly De La Cruz at 19. And he's a tough one because his power speed combination is intense. It's elite. And if he gets called up early because there's an injury or something, that guy's in the rookie of the year conversation, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, how aggressive are the Reds? They're not winning anything this year. They've got some other guys they got to make decisions with. They've got to figure out where all these guys are going to play defensively because, as you joked earlier in the week, they've got multiple shortstop options. And Jose Barrero's even still floating around. So they have to decide where he's going to be. So he's someone that I think we see second half of the season. That's kind of my guess. But he could play half the season and, hit 9 home runs and still 14 bases. Like, he's got the skills to pay the bills in the fantasy game.
I could see him like by the end of May.
It could
and
happen.
I know that may sound silly to most. And I say that, Ray, because honestly, I think if we get to Memorial Day, May 25th, I think it is. That's the first real signpost of the season. By that point, I expect the Reds to be 10 games out, in the NL Central. Could be more. So it's done. It's over. And injuries will start piling up. And, veterans who they, just wanted to carry them for a month or two, they're going to start failing. And, the fan base will get a little agitated. They're already agitated in Cincinnati. Their ownership has been pretty gruff about, where else are you going to go? I think that was the quote, you don't like what we're doing. Where else are you going to go? So they've kind of thrown sand in the fan base's face. You've got the whole Votto thing, which I think is going to end pretty sourly this season. I don't think we're getting much from Joey Votto. It's a bad team. I could see them, Ray, just trying to say, you know what, we're done, and let's get playing time for this guy. And you start the clock. I'm sorry, but that clock stuff, 5-6 years from now, who cares? If the guy's ready, just play him. And I always say this: if the guy's good, maybe not Cincinnati because they are a small market, but I think teams, we're seeing it every day. I mean, Arizona's inking Corbin Carroll, and Tampa's giving Wander Franco money. Atlanta gives everybody with a heartbeat a lot of money before they turn 24. I could very easily see Cincinnati doing that. So they haven't spent money anywhere else. I mean, so why not spend it on these young guys? I think he could be up May, June. And does that warrant a draft pick? I think it does. Now, I'd have to be like 28, 29 rounds. And some people are in leagues where you don't draft that deep. And so I wouldn't do it. But again, we're talking flyers and guys you can hold. I think the talent's worth it, Ray, because the payoff could be immense. I mean, if he pops up in June, Ray, let's say nobody in your league has him, people will blow the budget. If they have $75 left, they'll spend it all on Ellie De La Cruz. So you kind of avoid that game if you do want to draft him.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, he played 120 games in the minor leagues last year, 120. He had 28 home runs and 47 steals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's Eric Davis stuff. Like, that's wow. And to harkening back to that labor draft that I have the article over at fantasyguru.com discussing, he went in the 29th round. He was the fifth final pick in the draft because someone who took him in this draft, Zach Steinhorn took him in the draft. And for the exact same reason you said, when you get that, and that's a 15-team mixed league, okay, that's different. 14 hitters, 9 pitchers. It's a deeper league. A lot of the listeners, followers, they don't play in leagues that deep. But when you're in a league that is deep like that, what are the options here? Johnny Cueto, Spencer Turnbull, Ian Anderson, Heimer Candelario. I took Trevor Story. We've talked about that. It's not like that is a 29th round is filled with superstars. So take a chance on a kid that could be. You have to be willing to be patient, though, to your point. Even in a best case scenario, it's probably 6-7 weeks in the minors. Best case scenario. That's a lot of time to be taking zeros. Make sure your league has IL spots because you don't want to have a rookie taking it up and guys injured on the bench. But there are scenarios where he is draftable.
Well, and I look at the rest of this list of the other guys who we assume they're going to start in the minors, and it's probably not even an assumption now, but Jordan Lawler with Arizona, Marcelo Mayer with Boston, Marco Luciano with San Francisco, been talking about him for years.
Yep.
Ronnie Mauricio with the Mets. He's had a pretty good spring, but he's not going to start with the team. Rocchio with the Guardians. Novelli Marte is another middle infielder with the Reds. Zach Nido with the Angels. Like, all these guys are prospects, right? I think almost every listing has these guys top 100, top 80 amongst all positions. But none of those other guys, to me, deserve a draft and stash. I'd go there for De La Cruz. None of those other names I'd go in that direction with. Is that where you stand?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of those names, yes. I mean, there's obviously guys like, Tovar and stuff. But yeah, once the names
but those names that are going to start in the minors, to me, they're not draftable and stashable.
This is, again, I took Trevor Story. I had the option to take Ellie De La Cruz. I took Trevor Story. Now, again, in that league, we have IL spots, so I'm figuring I'll just stick him on the IL immediately. First waiver run, I'll replace him. So in essence, I'm getting 2 for 1, which is De La Cruz. You just get the one guy. But you have to be willing to be patient. And a lot of people, we know, people aren't. Like, even if he goes and hits 300 in April, he's still in the minors in May. It's like, so I think any of these guys, they're tough to hold on to. They're tough to draft because you don't have a firm date when they're going to be up. You don't know for sure how they're going to perform right away. You don't know when they get called up, if it's going to be you get 2 weeks, and if you hit 180, we send you back down. So, it's more of a roster composition thing than it is obviously talent or where they're going to be in the future.
Yeah. You look at the guys who might make the major league roster. Obviously, Tovar with Colorado, Oswald Peraza with the Yankees. We'll see on Volpe. Where do you stand right now on Volpe, Ray? You think he's making this team 2 weeks from now?
I'm going to say no, but it's 45-55. Like we talked about this earlier in the week. I'm not sure at all. If he made the team, I wouldn't be surprised.
I bet he's up by the end of April regardless. I think he starts in the minors, take a little pressure, get a little reps, all that stuff. You got all these other names with the Yankees right now. They'll give Kiner Falefa, a few weeks, see if we got a. But Ray, I think by the 3rd, 4th week of April, you've got Volpe up in the majors. I think.
Well, Kiner Falefa is not 100% physically, so that could accelerate things a little bit. But they still, they still have DJ LeMahieu, and you can play DJ LeMahieu everywhere. And it's like, it's one of those things. Do you want youngsters like Peraza and Volpe on the big league roster if they're playing 3/4 of the game, 2/3 of the games? Do you want to do that? Because old school thinking is you want them playing every day.
Not the Yankees, though. Not with the Yankees. I think they're fine with like the 2/3 or the 3/4. I think they'd be cool with that with these guys. Honestly, these guys, Ray, they're probably most valuable to the Yankees at the trading deadline. And I don't think they're trading Volpe, but a Peraza guy, because of we got other guys like this. It's kind of like the Miguel Andujar thing. These guys are more valuable as trade chips. Now, the Yankees never pulled the trigger with Andujar, and it blew up in their face. But they've got prospects. Dominguez. Now, again, they're not trading Dominguez or Volpe. I think Peraza could be somebody who, like, for 2-3 months, they kind of showcase, and then they flip him for help, outfield help to get a viable major league outfielder. I could see that being the play. So I think they're a franchise that, because of the way they're built, they're always willing to go out and get free agents and spend money and trades and all that. That young guys aren't as important to the Yankees as what, as they are to the Pirates, to the Reds, to the Diamondbacks. They're just not working in the same world.
Yeah, and I've been reading a lot of things lately saying it's time for the Yankees to stop that. but if you're willing to spend and players want to be there and go there, I mean, I think that the real key with how they handle the youngsters will probably end up being that pitching staff. Carlos Rodon is going to start the season on the shelf. Frankie Montas is going to start the season on the shelf. You mentioned, Severino. You mentioned Herman. Where's Cortez at? Is Clark Schmidt going to take a step? Like, they may have no choice. They may desperately need to do something to bolster the starting pitching staff.
Let's see any other. Oh well, I'm hearing in our buddy Matt Deutsch, our head honcho here. He's screaming in the chat room about Bryce Terang of Milwaukee, who I guess he can play shortstop. Probably more of a second base outfit. I mean, he plays everywhere. I don't know if the Brewers know where they want to use him, but Ray, he could be somebody. I guess we should throw him out there as another guy who could make a team and maybe be starting somewhere for the Brewers. And
they've got Willie Adames, who's obviously their everyday shortstop. The expectation is Terang could be the starter at second base. Check your league and the qualifications there, because he should be listed as a shortstop, but maybe it's only second base kind of a thing. He can run. The hit tools decent. I don't think he's necessarily going to light the world on fire with the bat, but he did steal 34 bases in the minor leagues last year, and we're all looking for speed, and he is someone that you can take in the final round. No one is talking about him. I think the returns aren't going to be fantastic, but if he's playing every day, it might be better than we think.
Here's something I'll tell you about Terang. He's up against history. The Brewers have developed nobody as a hitter. Nobody. They're great on pitching, but they have developed zilch on the hitting side. They just have. That's a fact of the matter. They have not. And I know they've got Taylor and Mitchell, and now they've got Frelick. Like, these guys are supposed to be that. But the Brewers haven't developed a guy for 10 years, honestly. I mean, Keston Ura was a total disaster. Probably one of the worst prospects we've seen. And I know this, Ura came up with a lot more hype than these other guys. Like, he was supposed, he kind of came from the Kellenic, like, that guy can hit. Oh, don't worry about him hitting. He'll hit. He hasn't hit at all. So the Brewers will have to figure this out. They have yet to do it with anybody. I mean, all their guys, all those hitters are brought in hitters. They're not guys they developed. Adames, Yelich, Tellez,
Winker, Contreras, Urias.
Yeah, it's over and over. They don't know how to develop hitting, and that doesn't matter to some people. It matters to me. It's kind of like people will always go, "Oh, but Tampa knows how to do it." Or the Dodgers, they know how to develop a starting pitcher. People fall for that, yet they don't fall for things that are on the negative. Milwaukee just hasn't developed any hitting. So that's, to me, a big knock. He has no real position. Again, late round flyers, you're totally fine. Most of these guys on the prospect side, they don't cost you anything before the 20th round. Tovar may, Volpe may, Peraza may, but the rest of these guys probably going outside the first 20 selections in your draft. Okay, we'll take a break here. When we come back here on Lunch Money, got some information for our Bettor cast tonight. We've got our lunch hunch, and we've got some NFL news to get to. Free agency is still continuing, and you might think, is there any more money to spend? There isn't much, but as we've learned over the previous days, you don't need any money to sign running backs. Like, they're literally scot-free. What if I told you that Devonta Foreman, running back formerly of the Panthers, what if I told you you can get him for less money per year than Cooper Rush? Well, you can, and you did if you're the Chicago Bears. We'll talk about some of the signings from yesterday in the NFL, more tournament updates, all coming your way next, right here on the Bettor Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Vladdy swings at the first pitch and lines it into right center.
How did a guy who was being selected in the first round pretty well everywhere last year, he proceeded to lose 33 runs, to lose 16 homers, to lose 14 RBIs, and to lose 37 points in batting average. Oh, and 184 points in OPS. He went down everywhere. How does that guy, Vlad Jr., still register as the #1 fantasy first baseman? ahead of Paul Goldschmidt, who won the MVP last season, ahead of Mr. Freddie Freeman, who does the same thing every year, which is hit .315 with 25 homers and 100 ribbies. Ray, it's like Vlad Guerrero Jr. had nothing to worry about. It's like they thought they were getting him and his dad, as you can see there on the photo. You get both of them when you draft him at number 1. I'm just surprised, and it was not a bad season, but Ray, it was such a disappointment compared to what he posted in 2000.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say. Vladimir Guerrero, in 3 of the 4 years, he's been average to good. He had one spectacular season. And we keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. The positives are the lineage, the positives are the skill set, the positives are the StatCast data, which everything's like top 5% murders the baseball. The negatives are he has not hit 275 in 3 or 4 years. We keep talking about this too. He does not hit the ball in the air. It's remarkable, his ability to hit 30-plus home runs, given that he never gets the ball in the air. His ground ball rate last year was 52%.
Well, and we're asking the question, how is he still number 1 at first? But what catches me even more so, Ray, is the overall. I mean, he's a first-round pick overall, and I don't think he has any business in the first round. I look at his profile, and there are so many guys going behind Vlad that just have business in the first round that deserve to be there. Freeman, Machado, Bichette, Rafael Devers, I think maybe Pete Alonso. You put Austin Riley ahead of him. If he gets 310, 30, 190, he's a first rounder.
I think the play with Vlad is the batting average because he hits the ball monstrously hard. I could see him hitting 320.
Can you hit 320 with a 52% ground ball rate?
You can, but it helps if you're athletic and fast. And he's
yeah, exactly. And I get it. His hit tool's strong, Ray, and he's good. It's funny his ground ball percentage is that high because on the occasions when I get to watch Blue Jays baseball, I don't see it. I see him hit the ball. And it's not really grounders. I'm surprised the number is that high. It feels like he stings the baseball, but I guess there's just no lift overall in his game.
It's just a little tweak to his swing that could really lead to that growth back toward where he was in the home run column. And I think people, he's done it. This is not hypothetical. He did it 2 years ago, and he's still just 23.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team where you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network. Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Bettor Sports Network.
Here's Kyle and Ray.
Perhaps one of the finest Irish imports. There's a lot of arguments to be made on many sides, but you too welcoming us back on this St. Patrick's Day. Ray, as we enter hour 2 of the show, how's the Guinness looking for you right now? You finished with that sucker yet?
I'm not. I'm doing pretty well, though.
Yeah, we're about the same spot, I think.
Yeah, Cheers.
I'm not kidding. I'm going to crack a second. I think that'll be tasty. This is kind of like a meal. I feel like I'm having lunch right now.
All I had was a granola bar for breakfast, so I'm filling up right now.
Yeah, I need a big brat right now, even though I know that's not Irish. I need some kind of cased meat.
Well, okay.
That's what I need. Update on the NCAA tournament. A couple of tie games right now. Right now, USC, Michigan State. That's at halftime. 34-34 is the score there. That's an East regional bracket game. And in the Midwest, Kennesaw State, who's the 14 seed, taking on the 3 seed Xavier. About 8 minutes to go in the first half, and Kennesaw State has just taken the lead, 25-23. So they're putting up a fight there. Coming up here in about 20 minutes, my Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara taking on Baylor. And then at the top of the next hour, VCU and St. Mary's. That leads to my lunch hunch. My lunch hunch is for that 2 o'clock tip-off between VCU and St. Mary's. I'm going straight up money line on VCU. That is plus 160. They have won 9 in a row. Now, St. Mary's is good. Again, they call this a lunch hunch for a reason. St. Mary's is a good team. But VCU's won 9 in a row, and they're kind of what they've always been, which is really bothersome. They will press you full court. They're like top 5 in the nation in steal percentage. Like they're a team that just bothers you. And we all played with that, Ray, when we were growing up, talking about, oh God, you want to play basketball, you want to kind of go about it easily. You don't want people all up in your face and getting in your mug and do it. That's what VCU does. And if you're not used to it, which in their conference, everybody knows VCU is going to do that. But if you're not used to it, it can kind of be a shock to the system just a bit. So I'm going to take VCU as my lunch hunch there. That game tips off at 2:00. I don't think it's a great lunch hunch, to be honest with you, but I had to get one today. I wanted to keep it in the tournament. So I am going to take the VCU Rams. What is your lunch hunch for this Friday, Ray?
By the way, that is one thing about the college game that I do miss in the pros. It's that ball pressure, the full court press. That we don't get a lot
strategy.
of. Yeah, we don't get a lot of that in the NBA. The guy just dribbles up, So I do kind of miss that. Yesterday, I talked about the San Diego Padres, and my lunch hunch yesterday was the longest winning streak this season was the Padres at 1,100. Plus 1,100. Today, we're staying with the Padres. Who's going to have, since I said they're going to have the longest winning streak of the season, we might as well say they're going to have the most wins in the NL West in the month of April. And yes, this is actually a thing you can bet on. The most wins in the month of April in the NL West will be the Padres. They're a plus 165. It goes this way. Dodgers plus 100, Padres plus 165, Giants plus 850, Diamondbacks plus 950. And if you want to get nuts, the Rockies at plus 2,000. People are still in with the Dodgers. We've talked a lot about these two teams, but I'm going Padres at 165.
And I'm confused by it, Ray. I've been confused by it for 2 months, even before some of the injuries that cropped up with LA. I'm just confused how people are just giving them the NL West. I just don't see the same team, and they can still win it. I mean, they've got Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias. I mean, they got these guys. They're studs. But there's a lot of things they don't have. They don't have anybody in the bullpen that really scares me right now. They don't have Walker Buehler. They don't have much of an outfield at all. They've got a 200 hitting Max Muncy. I mean, you're counting on Muncy and Chris Taylor to do a lot, and Will Smith to do a lot.
David Peralta.
I don't know what they have at shortstop, really. I mean, they're not bad. And Ray, they should still back into the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but my God, playing this game on paper, which is what you're doing when you're wagering, and on paper, it screams San Diego is the better team here.
Well, I mean, look at the bottom four hitters in the order are projected to be David Peralta, Trace Thompson, Miguel Vargas, and Miguel Rojas. I mean, that's okay, right? That's not great. And, to your point, the pitching staff, I mean, we don't even know who their fifth starter is going to be. Is it going to be Miller? Is it going to be Ryan Pepiot? Who's the, we don't know because Tony Gonsolin's down, right? So the Dodgers figured out, and they've been so great recently, and they've got all this talent. I get it. But yeah, Padres look pretty damn good on paper to me.
I think going into the last 3-4 years, Ray, you'd look at the Dodgers and say that team can easily be the best team in the National League. They're the best team. Whether they finish there or not, you can look at it on paper and go, wow, it's not that way this year. And part of that's their plan. They're going to spend $500 million on Shohei Ohtani. Mark my words. It's going to take $500 million, and they'll do it to get Shohei Ohtani next offseason. That is the lunch hunch for this Friday. Speaking of the NCAA tournament, reminder tonight, 6:50 Eastern. Make sure to hit the app, fire it up, and join in the Bettor Cast, March Madness style. It's a back and forth Q&A with some fun and some winnings. You can win $100 to the Bettor Sports Shop. Take $100. You can buy autographed helmets, put it towards an autographed jersey. Whatever you want. Well, we do it pretty well every night, usually around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. Tonight, we get things rolling at 6:50 because that's a start time for the tournament. So we're going to be following all the NCAA basketball action. So, we'll do a back and forth on Q&A, some trivia maybe, do some predictive contests. We'll keep score, and we'll have a little fun. So if you have not checked it out, you can do that with the app. Okay, so it's the Bettor Sports app. I know we have some people who follow us at the website, bettorsports.com. This is app only for the Bettor Cast. Bettorsports.com will still have regular programming. So kind of a couple of avenues as we go through a Friday night. NFL, Ray, I want to sneak this in real quickly as we kind of worry about other things later in the show. But we do want to talk a little NFL. It's been at the forefront of so much of our coverage this week. We continue to see some signings, continue to see some guys taken care of. quarterbacks yesterday, it was kind of backup day in the NFL. We've got Gardner Minshew going to Indianapolis. I love that move. Love that move for Indianapolis. We got Marcus Mariota going to Philly. I like that one a lot. He's going to back up Jalen Hurts. And Ray, I don't even want to complain about Drew Lock staying with Seattle. Like, it literally costs nothing. You go with Smith, you go with Lock, you're fine there. All three of those moves I thought were very warranted. I was surprised Gardner Minshew is only yanking in $3.5 million. And maybe he only wanted a one-year contract and thought, hey, next year at this time, my services are going to be more wanted. This year with Indianapolis, maybe I can make 8 starts. But I was surprised it took so little to get Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, and, I think that there's the mustache, there's the jorts, there's all the stuff, the rah-rah attitude. But I think there is, amongst people making decisions, a little bit of a question of, is he anything other than quarterback 22? It's like, is he really a top half quarterback in the league? He's certainly better than some of the quarterbacks that we see play. He gets an opportunity, as you said here with the Colts, obviously draft a quarterback, but where is that quarterback going to be in the developmental scale, and what's the decision going to be? I mean, Minshew could make 12 starts this year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it could be more than 8. And so I think you're right. He's probably playing this as I'll get to play. I'll get to showcase things this year. I'll put some good things on tape. And then next year, I'll get a chance to get a multiple year deal. Maybe someone will give me a chance to be a starter. But all in all, not a bad landing spot, because there's just not that many places he could go where he's going to get a legitimate chance to start.
Well, and I think it's so important for the Colts, Ray, because I feel no matter who they draft it for, they move up to 2, wherever they go, no matter who they draft there, I really don't want that guy playing in week 1 for Indianapolis, and I don't think they do either. So they got a guy who you go into week 1, Ray, and I know you don't have one of the top 20 QBs probably, but you have a QB you can win with, and you still have Jonathan Taylor, and hopefully you have a healthy and good offensive line, and you still have Michael Pittman. Like, you still have pieces. So if you get off to a pretty decent start, which isn't impossible, and by decent I mean like you're 3-2, this makes it so much more easy, Ray, to not force your QB in. And so if Indianapolis doesn't get a guy like this, and he may fail, and if he fails, you go to the rookie. But this buys them a lot of time that I think they're going to need. And I don't think even an Indianapolis fan is like, okay, I get this. I get that any QB we draft, it's probably best not to throw them to the dogs in week 1. Gardner Minshew is a perfect bridge, and he's a dirt cheap bridge. Mm-hmm. Like, this makes sense on so many levels. I wonder if this leans him in the direction more of one quarterback versus another, though, Ray. Because what we've heard is Anthony Richardson, the guy out of Florida, is really raw versus somebody like Bryce Young or Stroud. Those guys are more ready. I wonder if with this signing in place, the Colts are more likely to say, you know what, let's swing for the fences. Let's go with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, maybe Will Levis would be a better short-term option, but I think most of the mocks I've seen have been Richardson there to the Colts, and he is extremely raw, as you noted, and shouldn't be starting in week 1 and maybe not even all season long. And so that, like you're saying, with Minshew, if he has to make 16 starts and they throw a bone to Richardson, they can be a 500 team, right? So it makes a lot of sense on the surface. And, it also, if we play this out, you draft Richardson. What if Richardson, hypothetically, no one thinks he can fail. No one thought Zach Wilson could fail. What if Richardson comes in and he stinks this year? He just doesn't get it. He looks like Malik Willis. Like, he just doesn't get it. Well, then the Colts, hey, Gardner, we had you last year. You want to stick around? So, I think that duo, that combination of Minshew and Richardson on the surface makes sense. And it seems to be what a lot of people think the Colts are going to end up doing.
Elsewhere in free agency, Donta Foreman going to the Chicago Bears. So that's going to be the move for him. Early in the process, it sounded like Foreman wanted to go back to Charlotte, play for the Panthers. They, of course, made their decision with Miles Sanders. Foreman is 1 year, $3 million. $1 million. I mean, why the hell not, Ray? And that you were talking about this yesterday with Khalil Herbert. I mean, I look at these two guys, Ray, and who the hell knows? I mean, like 50-50? Is that what we're looking at with these two?
Yeah, I mean, Foreman is not a pass catcher, but as a runner, he's comparable to David Montgomery. Might be slightly better, right? They're very comparable. And look what they did last year. We run into this all the time, and we'll see it with Pollard with the Cowboys, depending on how it plays out too. There's a big difference between getting 12 carries at random places during a game than getting 17 carries and be the guy that just runs into the line of scrimmage over and over, right? There's a difference. And a lot of these guys that look great, that grade out well in the support role of 40%, when they're asked to be the 60% guy, they don't do as well, right? And there's that debate as well. Like, can Herbert handle the workload? How do we feel about that? Herbert was fantastic last year on a per touch basis. He's very likely to be very good this season. He could end up being the 40% guy to the 60% guy of Foreman and still outperform him in the fantasy space. Because Foreman, has a lot of times where he just runs in the line of scrimmage and he doesn't break a tackle. That's it, right? He's just running into the line. And Herbert is a more dynamic guy. So we'll see how it plays out. But this is clearly a death blow to, as we discussed yesterday before the trade, the death blow to those people in Dynasty and Keeper Leagues that thought they were getting 18-plus touches a week out of Herbert. Just don't see it now.
Bears made an additional move yesterday. They steal from their rivals, the Green Bay Packers. They get Robert Tonyan. I got to say, Ray, I kind of feel for Tonyan. Aaron Rodgers wanted all these guys. I'm not coming unless you go out and sign these. I don't think Robert Tonyan was on that list, was he? He probably like, wait a second, man. Me and you, we had a good year together. But Aaron Rodgers didn't want Robert Tonyan, so he settles for the Bears. Staying at tight end, Mike Gesicki. He's also going to stay in division. Going to New England, Ray. 1 year, $9 million for Gesicki. On the surface, you think, well, who cares? Mike Gesicki hasn't really been good. It's always been hype. It's never been numbers. But then, Ray, there's this part of me that says, man, New England sees Mike Gesicki 2 times a year. They've seen him 10, 11, 12 times in their career. They game plan for him, all that stuff. They must have seen something. They must have said, man, we'd like to have that on our team one day. And now they make does your line of thinking follow that path, or do you say, he's a tight end too? Let's not get burned again by Mike Gesicki.
Well, I mean, let's also remember this guy's caught 50 passes 3 times a year ago. He caught 70 passes before last year's disaster. He's a very capable pass catcher, and he's very athletic. You see it all the time. Him skying, trying to catch balls. He's very athletic. And the Patriots obviously have run 2 tight end sets going all the way back to Gronkowski and Hernandez. And in Gesicki's, a positive for Gesicki is that you look at the receiving core we talked about. They added Juju, but Tyquan Thornton, Devontae Parker, it's like, So Gesicki I don't think he goes to it. You hear he's the second tight end and you think, oh, well, he's going to get 2 catches a week. I think he can catch 4 passes a week. But it's 4 passes for 42 yards, right? It's that he's in that zone of the 8 to 15 tight end now, where it's like some weeks it's good, some weeks it's bad. I look at this offense, and we talked about it when we were discussing the moves they were making with Juju. You can't look at this offense and feel good about it, right? This is an offense that can win games, but is it one that's going to be a bounty in the fantasy space? Tough to envision that. So it's not an ideal landing spot for Gesicki, but I would not be surprised if he caught 55, 60 passes.
Well, and I would maybe put him a little lower on the pass catches, Ray, but I think he's going to be a weapon they use in the end zone. I think that is certainly something. And we even saw that with Miami, but for whatever reason, it could never click with Tua and Gesicki. I mean, he would go whole games of not getting a look at all. I don't see that happening with New England. I think they see him as a pass or receive first tight end, not a blocking guy. So I think that's their plan. It'll be something to watch, certainly. I could see him being a big pickup come like week 2, week 3, if he's having a good start there with the Patriots. A couple of other things. Darius Slayton is back with the Giants. I don't really know why, but 2 years, $12 million there. DJ Chark is set to visit with Carolina today. He is one of the big names that is still available in free agency. And there was a report concerning the Bills that even though they got James Cook and Naheem Hines, Ray, the report said the Bills still want to add in the backfield. So it's kind of like the Herbert thing. For a James Cook owner, you might have think, oh, man, here we go. No Devin Singletary. Singletary's still looking for a job, and it sounds like the Bills do actually want to replace him in that backfield.
Yeah, we hypothetically toss out the name Ezekiel Elliott. Let's get someone there. It's not surprising they want to do something. They've had Singletary for years now. Clearly, they're looking for something different. They think Cook can do a really nice job as that 1B to 1A or the 1A to 1B. We'll see how they bring in to make that combination work. But this is a team that frustratingly runs the ball effectively, but not frequently. And they're one of the teams, much like the Chiefs, right, that they're often compared to, where they go out and score 32 points and they have 48 yards rushing. They go out and score 22 points. They have 48 yards rushing. Like, there's not necessarily a correlation between how the offense performs and what that week's rushing totals look like.
Gets you up to date on the NFL scene. Again, still some names there. Chark, Singletary, I mentioned those guys are available. And there probably will be trades after some of this dust settles and teams kind of take a deep breath after spending all this money, and they can say, okay, what do we still need? Guys could certainly be on the move in the trade market. We will let you know if anything does occur, certainly over the next 90 minutes or so. When we return here on Lunch Money, it is time for our stroll down memory lane. We've got, what do we got here? We got Pro Set Hockey, got Upper Deck Hockey, and we got Tops Baseball. What's your vote? Let us know either via Twitter or in the chat room, and we'll go that direction. I'm pushing this one, pushing 89 Tops. It's not a very attractive set, but I'm pushing it. But I'm fine with hockey too, if you want to go this route. We haven't had much hockey at all. I've had these two sets, these two packs of cards sitting around for 2 months. Ray, did you even have a hockey pack? Do you have one?
That's the only pack I have left is the 1991. Remember with the glossy?
Well, I tell you what, I guess Tops is leading the poll, so we'll go with this. But we got to get rid of this hockey stuff, people. Come on. Someone wants to see these, right?
I do.
Get yourself a Mike Madonna. Ray's been waiting for one of those Pat Falloons.
Maybe Dino Cicerelli. We'll see what we can get.
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to say screw the vote.
Nah, Kyle, come on. Be democratic.
I might go with the hottest card on ice. Says so right on the front.
Don't burn your fingers, Kyle. Watch out.
Decisions will be made over the next few minutes, and we will take a stroll down memory lane when we return right here on Lunch Money.
Talk sports with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Bettor Sports Network.
Let me say something about Tiger. You know, Tiger has had to redesign his entire swing. Tiger has a difference in the length of his legs because of that horrible accident. You know, in golf, there's no like, hey, you can't walk the greens. You have to take a cart. So I assumed by day 3 on Sunday, you know, the inflammation would start. He took a couple breaks where they take care of his back a little bit. But it is fascinating watching him. So it gave me this thought, like, is he that skilled at golf? Or is this a mental thing of dedication and determination? He is so dedicated to the sport that no matter what, he's relentless to it. And the dedication and determination goes to the golf, the swing, the playing, the walking, but it goes to his overall health. The average person who doesn't stay in great shape, gets in an accident like that, goes through multiple surgeries, is not recovering and going out there to walk. And that course has some pretty steep inclines, a lot of walking. I mean, how else could you factor these athletes, you know, the Michael Jordans, the LeBrons, these players that just, their whole focus is really optimal health, optimal body skills, optimal. And then what comes next is being the best at what they do.
I think you just hit on why Tiger still has that drive. I don't know this. I don't know the man. It could just be love of the game. It could be, I want to make as much money as I can while playing. Could be all this stuff. But LA, a lot of people think Tiger Woods is the GOAT of golf. And I don't understand how you can be the GOAT of golf when you are 3 majors short of Jack Nicklaus. Okay? So, like, LeBron, I don't think he cares what guys like me say anymore, right? He's past Kareem. He thinks he's the GOAT. I mean, he's 3rd on my list. He's in the debate. Many other people think he's the GOAT. He's not my GOAT. You know what I mean? So I wonder if Tiger is there, like LeBron, like, I don't care what the pundits, what the barbershops say. I'm the GOAT. I don't have to do anything more. This is all gravy. I wonder if Tiger looks at it that way.
I don't know what Tiger's mindset is in the GOAT status, but when players talk about what it's like to be at a tournament, when Tiger's playing versus when he's not, they'll tell you that they're on the greens and they can hear the roar 4 holes over, and that there is nothing that compares to the excitement of when he's present.
Bettor Sports Live, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, exclusively on Bettor Sports Network. Or listen whenever you want on the app with BSN On Demand.
Having a little celebration here on Lunch Money. Cheers to everybody out there on their St. Patty's. Just about ready to finish this Guinness, both Ray and I. Maybe we'll do it during our stroll down memory lane. Nothing's better than a little Irish holiday, a cold beer, and a stroll down memory lane, right? That's
Yeah.
Okay, Ray, the people have spoken, and they say 89 Tops baseball for our stroll.
Okay.
Now we can go, all Brazilian government here, and I could just say, nah, we're going to go with Pro Set. What should we do here, Ray? Should I overrule the voters?
No.
Okay.
Be a man of the people, Kyle.
The vote stands.
Yeah, the vote stands.
Yeah. Well, folks, if you don't like it, you are to blame. Okay. Ray and I were both feeling hockey. We do this every week where we open an old pack. I was talking to Heather Klein, our producer, and this will serve as a reminder to her. We're going to get some fresh packs here in the next week or so. So maybe by this point next week, we'll have a fresh round of cards to open. Ray, you're down to just one left, that hockey.
One pack, the hockey pack. Yeah.
I would say even if we get the packs next week, you're opening up that hockey pack. Okay.
Which pack do you want? The one in my right hand or the left hand?
Yeah, we're going with that one. So anyway, we'll do some baseball today. There are 15 cards in this sucker. There is one stick of gum, although as I shake it, this stick of gum appears to be multiple sticks of gum. This thing, Ray, I think it has broken, if you will, which I don't know if I get a refund for that or not. Look up some 89 tops. Do we have anything that we need to hunt for in this set? 89 tops baseball cards, because usually our luck has been quite good with cards lately.
All right.
By the way, I'm seeing this now. This set's ugly. By the way, I'm just letting everybody know this is junk.
We don't have the traded cards in this set, do we?
No, I think this is Series 1.
Okay.
Traded would have been Series 2. Yeah, that Griffey. Are you looking at that Griffey?
Yeah, the Griffey.
Yeah, I don't think that's available in here.
Randy Johnson rookie card with the Expos, by the way. Let's see.
Looks like a Dion card with the Yankees.
A Gary Sheffield future star.
Yeah, that one. See, that's numbers. I'm looking at the same thing. That one is probably in here.
Yeah, future star should be in there.
Yeah, that's in the 340s on the card label.
Ugly cards.
Yeah, these are really pathetic. It did not stop me from buying a load of these, though.
Maybe we can get a Bo Jackson. What the hell?
Yeah, why not? No purchase necessary for me to win Spring Fever Baseball. So I think that would get me to spring training 1990. So that'd be kind of cool. They actually have this. So I don't know if you can see this, but they actually see that yellow part up there,
right? Mm-hmm.
That they give you the ingredients to the gum, and at the very end, you can see that there's been something called BHT. Maintain freshness.
Okay.
Here I find out how.
Yeah, please do.
I'm not going to chew this gum, by the way, for anybody who's thinking I'm going to do that. That ain't going to happen. Now, immediately when I open the back of this card, it's like a flashback to my childhood. I remember this distinctly. I don't even know who the player is, but the bottom here, their monthly scoreboard.
Yeah.
They would go month by month on certain players. That's the kind of stuff that would piss off Ray Flowers because it shouldn't matter. Those are arbitrary cutoffs, right, Ray?
Correct.
Yeah, arbitrary cutoffs. Okay. Oh, there's the gum. Here.
How's it look?
Looks like we have 5 pieces. This is the biggest one. Here's a piece. Here's a piece. And then 2 tiny ones.
How does it go with Guinness?
If I threw this in my beer right now, I bet it would just vaporize.
Disappear, probably would.
I mean, shall we all let's listen to it break. I'm going to break the gum and you guys can all hear how fresh the BHT in here. They promised me to maintain freshness. Let's listen.
Oh.
Yeah, not very fresh. It's rock hard, in fact. Okay, let's take our stroll down memory lane. We start with a giveaway. That's kind of cool. 1989 Collector's Edition, Glossy All-Stars and Hot Prospects baseball cards. What do you got to do here? Send $1.25 plus 6 special cards for each set ordered. So I would have to take 6 of these,
right,
and then send $1.25.
Right.
So I'd have to buy 6 packs.
I'm positive I have those. Some glossy ones. I have a Dale Murphy one. I'm positive I have it. I'm not here. It's at my mom's place, but I know I got some.
Here are some of the stars. Well, they got all the stars of 1989 or so, but some of the rookies, I see the name Jay Buhner.
Okay, yep.
On here. This is very small font. I mean, my God, so forgive me. I don't have my bifocals with me. Ron Gant, Roberto Alomar, Mark Grace, Chris Sabo.
Nice.
I thought it said Chris Sale, but it's Chris Sabo. Walt Weiss, who I think won the Rookie of the Year in '89, and Jody Reed. Jack Parr. Yeah, it's a anyway. This is an insert. This is not an official card. Let's get to the action, shall we? Okay, first up, I remember this player. Ray, let's see if you could answer this.
Okay.
He was on base. I'm almost certain of this. He was on base when Kirk Gibson hit his miraculous home run against Dennis Eckersley.
I was at my buddy's house watching on a 13-inch black and white TV. True story. I don't remember.
I remember this guy. He wore glasses when he hit, and he actually had a very good at bat against Eckersley. I think, and Ray, maybe pull up that game. I'm going to say this. I don't know that this is right. I believe that this guy earned a walk against Eckersley to get on base, and Eckersley didn't walk dudes at all. But I think it's Mike Davis of the LA Dodgers.
Mike Davis,
who I believe was on base when Gibson hit his home run. I think he was standing at second. Here's a clip. See, folks, this is how it used to be in 1989. This is when ball players, weren't granted billions of dollars. On the back of Mike Davis's card, Ray, they have a little interesting factoid about the longtime outfielder. Now, granted, he had played baseball for a full decade when this card came. This guy has been in baseball for 10 years. Yet still, Ray, according to the back of his card, Mike Davis has aspirations of a real estate career following his playing days.
Mike Davis, by the way, was a pinch hitter in that game.
Okay.
He walked for the run. Yep.
Man, I feel good, Mike Davis. He also has, oh no, these aren't. I remember wristbands that he has. I used to have those big thick ones by Starter. Those were good.
And by the way, he had one season where he went 22-19 home run steals. One season where he went 19-27, so he missed 2020 by a home run and a steal. And then he had another year where he went 24-24. So for a 3-year period of time, he basically did a Raul Mondesi.
This next guy, Ray, I always thought was like Kirby Puckett's doppelganger. He was not only on the Twins, but he reminded me of Kirby Puckett. Really? He was a short dude, 5'8", 175 pounds. Now, he played mostly in the infield. But this guy even looks like Kirby Puckett on this card. That's Al Newman.
Al Newman, yeah, you're right.
Look at that. He kind of looks like Kirby there. The problem with these cards, they don't show the position on the front. That's kind of weak sauce. I mean, these cards are, it's just bad, aren't they?
It's pretty generic.
Yeah, incredibly generic. I mean, just nothing. Here's an all-star coming up next. And I bet you I could describe this guy, and Ray would probably get it. Right-hander, pitched throughout the 80s. One of the best pitchers in the entire 80s. Spent from 79 to at least this point, and probably beyond. I want to say he was with this team when I believe this is the case. He was with this team still when they won the World Series in the early 90s, and he'd been with them since 79. So this is a long run. He had seasons like, check this out. Everybody take a listen. Clear out your ears on this one. His second year, 240 innings. His fourth year, 288. His fifth year, 278. His sixth year, 267. His seventh year, 265. Then he fell off to 205. He was a real wussy back in 1988 or 86, I should say. I don't know. What else could I give you here?
I'm not getting it.
Right-hander. I believe there was also a no-hitter in the early 90s. Played with the same team. Ray, if I gave you the team, I bet you would know him. American League. Yep. Same team from 79 up through the early 90s. Unless my memory is incorrect, he won a World Series with this team. Initials DS. Wow. You're going to kick yourself, Ray.
Yeah.
You're going to hate yourself.
Who is it? Dave Steve. Yeah. Should have said best fighter in baseball. Yeah. Those innings totals are wild, aren't they? Oh, did we lose Kyle or did we lose me? I don't know who we lost. We might have been stuck there. We might be stuck on Dave Steve, who did have one of the best sliders in baseball for years. He was famous for that, as Kyle noted. Guys that you think of historically speaking, and say, oh, they're a pretty good pitcher. And then you look and it's 250, 260, 270, all these huge inning totals. It's interesting how the game has changed, is it not? I'm gonna talk a little bit more here about baseball for a second. If we can't get Kyle back real quick, we'll take a break so we can get him back. Obviously, I can't do a pack break by myself because Kyle has the cards. So just to reiterate some of the storylines we were talking about earlier in baseball, the Giants are going to have David VR and Brandon Crawford expected to be active by the time the regular season starts. Both guys dealing with some injuries there. So the Giants are expecting both of them to be back and to be the left side of the infield to start the year. The Athletics across the bay, Paul Blackburn's got a fingernail issue, and Manny Pena, the backup catcher's got a wrist issue. Both those players will start the season on the injured list. So a couple of moves there that the Athletics are going to have to make. Tony Gonsolin, it is official. We talked about him earlier when we were discussing the Dodgers. Officially, he will start the season on the injured list because of his ankle issue. They're hoping it won't be long-term for the hurler of the Dodgers. CJ Cron is going to miss a few days with some back spasms, the first baseman of the Rockies. We had the back issue last year for Chris Bryant that cost him a little bit of game action here in spring training. Then we had Charlie Blackmon, who is still experiencing back soreness as well. He won't play this weekend. So for some reason, if you're a Rocky, Kyle, you've got back issues. It was Chris Bryant. Now it's Blackmon and CJ Cron. I don't know what's in the water there in Arizona, but they need to do something to help out the backs of the Colorado Rockies.
I'll tell you what the problem is, and apologize for the interruption there. The problem is those guys have to carry the team. And already in spring training, they're wearing down. That's the problem there. Yeah. I apologize for that. I got a little excited with the Dave Steeb.
Understandable. Yeah.
So let us resume our stroll down memory lane. I had to reconnect here. I hate to come back, and this is like what we come back with, because, Ray, I have nothing to say about this man. I have nothing. This is one of the nameless dudes who, like, I mean, my gosh, Ron Tingley. What am I supposed to say to that, Ray? Ron Tingley.
At least he's got a mustache. It fits.
He was a catcher. I thought for sure he had to be some no-name reliever.
I don't remember Ron Tingley.
Well, it's fascinating. I'm looking at the back of his card. I don't think he even made the major leagues until 89 with the Indians, Ray. And he had been in the minors since 77.
Wow.
Or there's the Padres. There's the Padres. So, but look at that. Walla Walla, Santa Clara, Amarillo, Reno. What do we got? Vegas, Salt Lake, Calgary, Richmond, Maine, Buffalo, Colorado Springs. Holy mackerel. Ron Tingley saw the world. Some people joined the Navy.
Yeah.
Other people.
Minor league baseball.
Yeah. Here's a funny one. This is just a funny name. I just remember this guy purely as a pinch hitter. Randy Reddy.
It's a great name for a pinch hitter.
Yeah.
He's always ready.
Always ready. Randy Reddy. He sucked. Backup catcher here. I do remember this guy with the Cardinals. He was nothing special. Steve Lake.
He often had a stash. Yeah, you can see it there.
Yeah, you can see the stash. Exactly. Very good call. Man, that's a pretty pitiful run of players. Steve Lake, Randy Reddy, and some dude named Ron Tingley. Here's a player who was like, didn't always have a job, but was always floating around as a fourth outfielder for a number of years. Glenn Wilson. Here he's floating around with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Right. And Glenn Wilson has the bubblegum stain.
Gum stain. See, that's a lot of collectors. That's happened over the years in particular. It's a big deal.
So you're telling me my Glenn Wilson has a PSA of 5?
Yeah, he went from $1 down to 13 cents.
Yeah,
he's not $1. He
bubblegum stain. Yeah. Lance, his son Lance, Glenn Wilson's son Lance, is named after Glenn's teammate, Lance Parrish.
Oh,
there you go. Little known fact, right?
By the way, I looked it up. You can theoretically eat the gum. It's not going to kill you. There's not an expiration.
Yeah, it's not going to help me either.
I won't help your belly, but you could chew it.
Here's an all-star from 1988, a legend. Don Mattingly, all-star card. This is about his last good year. We're kind of aging out of the great Don Mattingly years. Hall of Famer or not, Ray?
No, too short. A leader, an excellent defensive player, a wondrous offensive player, but his career was the peak was great, but just too short.
Yeah, it was great. Good 4 or 5 years. And he had back problems like Chris Bryant kind of thing. Again, bunch of nobodies. Greg Booker, I mean, my God.
Look how ugly though that the brown and orange. Did you like that?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
the
a fan of it.
Padres have, in general, Ray, I'd say the Padres have struggled for 40 years to try and find a look. It was soon after this they went to like navy blue with orange and white, and that didn't stick. I kind of like what they have now, which is a little bit of a callback to the 70s, but also kind of a more future, different look still. It's not too much yellow right now.
At one point, I had one of the alternate hats. It was navy blue hat with the friar swinging the bat on the hat, and that was not, that's not a bad look. It's kind of, Anaheim Ducks like. It's a little cartoony, but better than what they were going with, in my opinion.
I love the friar, by the way. It's an underutilized emblem. Here's another guy who I just remember is like, oh yeah, that guy would pinch hit a lot. Ken Phelps.
Oh yeah, with the glasses. The one
he's got the Ray
batting
Flowers glasses. Look at those.
Yeah, and he had the dumb little hunched over stance.
Yep, and the mustache.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He had a couple of decent power seasons, though.
Yep. Here's a guy I always remembered. In 1988, I think it was April of '88. This is one of the first, like news moments I remember in baseball. When my beloved St. Louis Cardinals, was it '88? I think it was '88. My beloved St. Louis Cardinals in '88 said, you know what? Tommy Herr is going to get traded. Tommy Herr had been just like a centerpiece for 5-6 years with that Cardinals team. And they traded him for this guy. And people loved Tommy Herr in St. Louis. They did not love Tom Bernansky as much. You could not take one Tom and replace him with another Tom. This one didn't turn out as well.
He totally different players too, right? Bernansky, a big guy with power. Herr, a little fielder guy that slapped the ball around the field, had a nice little fro at times. Totally different players.
Yeah, his first year with the Cardinals, he got traded in '88. Wow, I love that. Let's see, where's the batting average? Oh, there it is. 245 with 22 homers, 79 ribbies. He was not bad. I mean, that was in 143 games. The other thing on the back of this card, and Topps was famous for this, and this is something you'll never see again because they don't even keep this stat anymore.
Game-winning RBIs?
Game-winning RBIs.
Yeah.
You know exactly where I was going. They always had that on Topps cards, and now people don't even know what it is. Proving that if you took a breath in the major leagues, you would get a baseball card. Richard Dotson.
Okay, yeah.
Wow. I say a breath, and then I look at the back. The dude played, I mean, at this point, 10 years. He'd been playing since 79.
Richard Dotson, 305 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Led baseball 1 year in shutouts, also led baseball 1 year in walks.
This is what Ray looked like when he worked at the sporting goods store back in the early 90s, maybe.
Yeah, true.
He would wear this top, and he would kind of have this look when he came in. Look at that, man. Does that not scream bullpen jacket?
I never had that style, but I had similar ones. You're totally right. That would be something I would have worn to work. Yeah, good call.
Kurt Young.
Kurt Young.
Oh, goodness gracious. Back in the day, back in, what year are we doing? 1989. Even the managers would get cards. Managed the Phillies, Nick Leyva.
Wow.
Who, I'd have to guess, you probably can't tell, but this looks airbrushed.
Looks photoshopped, I was going to say, but airbrushed. Yes, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I think this is airbrushed. And I wonder who Nick Leyva was a coach with before he got this job. They just took an old photo and they airbrushed that Phillies cap. Come on. That's obvious. Kind of cool on the back, you would get the Phillies checklist for your set.
Let's see, maybe he was with I'm looking at him right now. Maybe it was the Pirates?
Pirates, maybe? Okay. Well, they photoshopped them to become a Philly.
Oh, he had
Ray, back in the day, we had deep fakes.
Yeah.
In baseball. This is a deep fake of Nick Leyva. He was not really with the Phillies on this photo.
He had a career winning percentage of .439. Not so good.
Yeah, not terrible. I mean, the Phillies were pretty bad back then.
Ejected 6 times in 3 years. Lost his job in 1991 when they started 4-9. They'd had it. They got rid of him.
Yeah. Only thing I remember his 1986 Topps card, which is him swinging from the left side. He's after he pulls through. I remember this guy for that card. 86 Topps is one of my favorite sets, so I remember this card in particular. The other thing about this guy is, Ray, every time he'd say his name, you'd want to buy a pack of cigarettes. Like literally every time he said his name, because not only did he play baseball, but Ray, he was also in the tobacco world. RJ Reynolds. You might know him as RJ Reynolds Nabisco nowadays.
Yeah, nice.
But back then, he was just regular RJ Reynolds. I always thought, Ray, if RJ Reynolds had existed in 2000, before cigarettes were outlawed and everything, he would have been the best spokesman you could ever. You think RJ Reynolds smoked? I wonder if he did.
It's too cliche. Probably he either like a chimney or not at all, right? There's probably no middle ground.
I'll be disappointed if RJ Reynolds did not live up to his namesake. Pretty decent player, always kind of a fourth outfielder guy. But he hung around the major leagues. His rookie year was 83. This is 88. He didn't last much past this, I don't think.
1990.
1990, is that it? Okay. There you go. That is it, Ray. We made it through all 15 cards.
Wow.
A set that, pretty awful. What the collective value of this set, Ray, what are we thinking of the pack I opened?
Well, like Work and Grind said, I grossly overestimated when I said $1. I should have started with 18 cents with the gum ruining it to 10 cents. We got
look at these guys.
We got it doesn't matter what those cards cost, because I don't, other than maybe the Mattingly, could we sell them? I mean, would anyone bother giving us 5 cents for them? Like,
no. These are the stories you never hear about, where you went through your grandma's attic and you found Tom Bernansky. You don't ever hear about those stories, do you, Ray?
You really don't.
Yeah, that is the life many of us will experience, is when Tom Bernansky is found. Okay, hey, people wanted it. You got what you wanted. I guarantee you we would have gotten more out of this pro set. Absolutely would have gotten guys we've heard of. Guys with mullets. We didn't get a single mullet in this
disappointing
thing. I got a lot of mustaches, though. Holy cow. Let me count the mustaches here. Mattingly, 1. Dave Steve, 2. Those are 2 famous mustaches. Mike Davis, a good mustache. That's 3. RJ Reynolds, stash. That's 4. Of course, a guy named Ron Tingley. That's 5. Can't tell with Randy Reddy. Steve Lake, mustache.
Wow.
That's it. The others are clean shaven.
Beards were never really a thing in baseball. Like, really, it was the mustache. In '89, I could have grown a mustache, but I never even contemplated growing a mustache. It's never. I just think, to me, mustaches are dirty. That's just me. Like, they're just like, you're a porn star.
That's the guy with a full-blown green beard.
Classy versus dirty. They're just different to me. I don't know.
Okay. What should I do with this stuff?
Take a bite. If you take a bite, I'll take a bite of the hockey one. Does it taste like the old gum?
No.
Does it? Don't swallow it.
Holy cow.
Is it?
I've already swallowed it.
Oh, you did.
Holy Jesus.
What did it taste? You got the Guinness at least to wash it down.
That is pitiful.
What did it taste like?
Like, remember those, what they call those sweet not tarts, but the chalky little candies, Ray, that would come wrapped up in a long roll. Like
yeah, I know.
Wrap.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I forget what they're called, though. But yes.
Wow. But covered in dust. Covered in dust, Ray. That's what I'd say it tastes like. Dust.
Well,
oh, my God.
Wow.
I'm going to save this for when Walter first cusses me out.
And
instead of washing his mouth out with soap,
right?
Instead of soap, I'm going to give him this crap. That'll teach him to ever curse me out. Oh, woo!
You're still dealing with it. Wow.
I'm getting a second Guinness. Got to have a second.
Problem solved.
Heather says it's candy buttons. Now, how do I dispose of this? Do I need to take this down to the authorities to throw this away?
Yeah.
Or can I put this in regular trash?
It's definitely not recyclable. I think you could probably put it And I don't even know if it's compostable with that gum. Put it in the regular garbage, Cal.
I mean, they won't let you throw away paint. I don't know why you can't throw away paint, but you can throw away this stuff. Woo! I'm sorry, Mother Earth, but it's going into the trash. Wow. That was really bad. There was no chew at all.
Crunch.
There was not near enough BHT in that gum.
Well, hold on one sec. Let's see if hockey, because I have the hockey pack that we're going to have to open next week unless I get new ones. Again, with the glossy card, the scoring leader.
Yeah. What do
Does
you
not
want to
say
try
anything
the
about
gum
BHT.
too?
No, wait, it does. Hold on a second. Natural artificial flavors and BHT to maintain freshness. Same line on mine, Kyle.
Ugh. Well, I don't expect anything to stay fresh for 34 years. That was bad. Luckily, I only took like a corner bite. The rest of it in the trash. Holy moly. That stroll down memory lane is going to be brought to you by an immense stomach ache probably in the next 2 hours. We'll see if I make it. Hope you had fun with that. Sorry that we got interrupted after the Dave Steve. So I was getting excited. We actually got a guy who was worth a damn, and then the rest of the pack happened. That will do it for a stroll down memory lane. We do it each and every Friday. On the flip side, we're going to check in with the NCAA tournament. Got to talk about some under-the-radar fantasy performers for the NL Central. Treasure Trove is coming your way. Dessert to Go is coming your way. Stay right here on Lunch Money on BSN.
Washington Commander fans, it's time to rejoice. The day you've been waiting for seems like it's finally on the way. And you know what day I'm talking about. No, not the next time you have a parade down Constitution Avenue. That's still years away. But the day you get to say goodbye to the man who has owned that franchise since 1999. It's Daniel Snyder. You know it well because he's been the worst owner in sports in the 24 years he's owned that football team. That once proud franchise, the Washington Redskins, the Hogs, the championships, Doug Williams, Joe Gibbs. Now what you have left behind? Memories of Albert Hainsworth. How did that work out? Horrible free agent signings, not to mention the scandals. Just this past 18 months alone, the horrible reveal of the Commanders' team name when everybody knew who it was the day before. Oh, that Sean Taylor statue, that gimmick, that joke. How about the touchdown celebration of the mascot, the Tutty? That was horrible. You keep getting in your way, time and time again. The best thing you had for your fan base this offseason was hiring them an offensive coordinator. And now the later scandals, financial misconduct, all these things you got going on. Yet you want Roger Goodell in the NFL to look the other way while you negotiate yourselves a team on your terms. It don't work like that. Only person you really got on your side is Jerry Jones, and it's not going to be enough. So go ahead, Daniel Snyder. Do the right thing. Sell the team and go on about your business. Don't worry about this no more. The fan base deserves better. You've done a lot to tear this situation down. It's just time to walk away. Don't try to negotiate your own terms. Do the right thing and give the Washington, D.C. natives, give the people inside the Capital Beltway their team back. You can find more contents like this at Bettor Network on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Kyle Albrecht, Ray Flowers on a Friday. It is Lunch Money. Hope everybody's having a great St. Patrick's Day. Ray and I are kind of celebrating the holiday. We got to work. We can't be at a parade. There any, around here, Ray, maybe 5-minute drive for me, 10-minute drive over in Dogtown here in St. Louis. They have a gigantic Irish parade, huge one. St. Patty's Day. Is there anything like that around you that you know of?
I know. Well, we used to do the pub crawl right here in the local. There's a couple of pubs that we do. I mean, San Francisco, of course, has got stuff, but I don't know of. I've never actually gone to the St. Patrick's Day parade. It's like a block party kind of thing in the city. I've never done it, but I know that is something that is freely waited for each year, expected each year, and celebrated each year.
Yeah, it's serious business around these parts. So serious that they find out how drunk you are by saying, "Will you eat Topps baseball gum from 1989?" Woo!
Yes, I will.
Still sticking. I'm going to have to Listerine this sucker, Ray, probably twice.
Even with the Guinness, it's still for real?
Yeah, because I can't, Ray, I'm not sitting here with my Guinness and sloshing it around. This stuff got into my teeth.
You should have put it during the break. You should have,
Ugh, disgusting. Okay. On to bigger and better things. Update on the NCAA tournament. We currently have 3 games in play. These are the first 3 of the day. A 4th game is just about ready to start. That VCU St. Mary's game. Right now, 6 minutes to go in the second half. Michigan State's up by 11 on USC. I've got Michigan State favored by 2.5 there, so I'm feeling good there. Kennesaw State is on top of Xavier by 11. 16:30 go. A lot of time to go, but that's a 3 versus 14 game. So Kennesaw State looking good there. And then my Gauchos taking on the Baylor Bears. That is also a 3 versus 14 game. Tie game, 22-22, with 7 minutes to go in the first half. Got a lot more coming your way on the NCAA tournament. About 30 minutes from now, we're going to visit with Mike Holland of Green Screens Media. We'll get his Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday thoughts as we go into the weekend. For the time being, though, now we're back to discussing all things National League Central. We've been focusing positionally on shortstops this week. And then divisionally, we've been focusing on the NL Central. So that'll be Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, St. Louis, and the Chicago Cubs. Ray, to wrap up the conversation, we're going to look at some under-the-radar fantasy assets, maybe some guys who you know about, maybe some guys you want to target, maybe some guys who you've forgotten about coming into this year. We'll start with Chicago. And, Ray, if you just looked at the numbers, you would say, well, that guy's – everybody knows him, right? They know what he does, and he's going to be drafted. And, yes, this guy will be drafted. But, Ray, I don't know if people realize how strong, how solid – Ian Happ was last season for the Cubs. Now, we've been waiting for like a solid season, it feels like, for 5 years. Like this guy 5 years ago was an up-and-coming prospect. It's never really clicked. He is still with the Cubs. He was an all-star last year. He gives you something in all 5 categories. How much is it worth, though, Ray, with Ian Happ?
Yeah, he's a really interesting player because I think on the field he's made strides. And that's what we've kind of been waiting for him to do. He's 28 years old now. We've always thought there was a big season. Hasn't really happened. He's had spurts. Last year, he knocked his strikeout rate down substantially. He dropped 6% off his strikeout rate, almost to the league average. And you saw the results reflected in his batting average. He had a career-best batting average. Can get on base a little bit. I think that the problem with Happ is that he's had 9 steals the last 2 years. Maybe he gets 10, 12, something like that with the new rules. But he's not a base stealing guy. Despite the increase in contact, he's not a batting average guy. And though he's got power, it's not substantial. So I think in the end, what he did last year, roughly speaking, is what we should be expecting again this year. Maybe the average drops a little bit and he adds 4 home runs. It kind of moves around a little bit. I think he's a solid player to have on a team. He's going to play every day. And there is still a chance that it all comes together and we see a 275, 2990 kind of season. It's possible. Yeah. I'm not counting on it, but it's possible.
I mean, I think 2010 is really doable here. Now I'm trying to think, Ray, eligibility, and I should have checked this before the show because is he outfield only? Okay, I didn't know if he got enough time at any of the infield positions, and I wouldn't suspect he's going to gain any of that this year. He didn't even touch. I mean, the year before he had 4 games at second, 1 at third. So he's mostly been stuck in the outfield here recently. So that's all you're going to get with him. Probably makes him a 5th outfielder, a 6th outfielder, but not a bad one. I mean, you catch him on the right day at Wrigley or the right week at Wrigley, could get some big numbers from Ian Happ. Up next in our list of unheralded NL Central options, Ray, let's go to St. Louis and let's go to a guy who wasn't with this team except for 2 months last season, but he was actually one of the better trade deadline acquisitions. Jordan Montgomery, who went to St. Louis, Ray, and in 11 starts was 6-3, had a 3.11 ERA. His whip was 1.09, upped his strikeout rate. Wasn't great, but it was solid. Overall, Ray, last season was pretty good for Jordan Montgomery. I wouldn't say it was great, but as an SP4, it was solid. It was decent. Is there more than that for Jordan Montgomery, though?
It's a good question. I'm not sure there's more, but I think that if we look at what he did last season, let's say he does exactly the same thing across the board, and the 9 victories ends up being 14. It just looks a lot better, right? It's one of those things. He's never had double-digit victory totals. He's had 3 different seasons where he's thrown more than 150 innings, pitched well in all 3 years. He just hasn't been a big winner. He's got 28 victories in 6 years. So I think that, you talk about a guy who almost 280 innings. He's not a strikeout arm, but he was over 155 the last 2 seasons. Should be there again this year with health. The ratios are solid. We probably see the the WHIP, creep back up a little bit. It was a little low last year. I think the one negative with him is the strikeout rate dropped last year. And, I'll give that up. If he's going to give me a 1-1 WHIP, I'll give up a strikeout per 9 innings, right? So I think we're balancing it out here. I don't think there's necessarily another level, but what he's doing right now is very good. He's just been held back perceptually because of the lack of victories.
Purely on the innings thing, Ray, he's got to be drafted, right? I mean, 180 innings is doable here. The Cardinals will let him pitch. I mean, he's a veteran. They're going to let him go out there and eat up some innings. That's kind of the attraction here. He's not as good as maybe the height of Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks was racking up wins, to your point. But the profile is maybe a little more similar to Kyle Hendricks. And there may be even more strikeout potential, certainly, than a Hendricks. I think that win total, you nailed it. It's not impossible for him to get to a dozen wins or even like 12 to 15. And that would make him a steal as an SP4, I think.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's very stable, which is a word that I use infrequently with pitchers because there's so much uncertainty there. But I think he's a very stable option. Again, not another level, but just a little bit here, a little bit there. And it looks, again, perceptually very different.
We'll go from the Cardinals to the main competition for the Redbirds this year, the Milwaukee Brewers. The underrated guy here, Ray, I'll be honest, I think he might land on some mixed league teams, but I think he's really more of an NL-only guy. It's Luis Arias, who's, the attraction with NL only is this guy can be used all over the diamond. And that's really important to have one or even 2 of these guys in an NL-only setup. His numbers are nothing fabulous. Probably the best thing, somehow, Ray, he's hit 39 homers in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. Like, you look at that guy and you say, oh, yeah, 20 home runs a season. I don't know if he's that good, and he did drop off a pretty good amount with home runs, but he should still be in the low teens, I think, even in a down season when it comes to home runs.
Yeah, he's a guy that I've long liked because I really loved his approach coming through the minors. And he's gotten to the big leagues, and he's been effective. He's another player kind of like Montgomery. I don't know if there's really another level. Now, he's only 25, and he does have a pedigree, Urias. So it's possible that we see some growth, and, maybe it's 25 home runs. Maybe it's a 260 batting average, maybe. But you noted it correctly. The real attraction with him is his flexibility. 73 games at third base, 46 games at second base, 24 games at shortstop. So if you're in any kind of traditional setup where it's 20 games, 15 games, he qualifies at all 3 of the infield positions. And that's really a huge bonus because even if you're in a 12-team league and you go to the waiver wire, like a lot of times, like you're picking up Kevin Newman, you're picking up Brandon Crawford, like what are you doing when you have that injury? So his flexibility is really his calling card. Potential for a little bit more, but I'm not expecting it offensively.
Next name that we have, some overlooked, maybe underrated, under the radar guys out of the National League Central. I could really probably spotlight 93% of the Pirates roster for this spot. About the only guys that you recognize are O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds, maybe Cabrian Hayes. Other than that, the Pirates don't really excite. But, Ray, I think there's a spot for this guy in all mixed leagues. And I won't – I always love when I say I'm not going to use the term X and then you've used the term. I'll say this. I wouldn't predict this, but it wouldn't stun me. And I think this guy could end up being sought after come the deadline. Pittsburgh's Mitch Keller, who has mostly been a disappointment in the major leagues. But, Ray, we started to see some signs in the second half, some consistency, some innings, like 6, 7 innings, the ERA dropping just a bit. Like it was starting to click. It'd been really bad for like the first 2 years, and it was bad at the beginning of last year. And so this may be a guy, Ray, that people just forgot about. They moved on, and who cares? He's with the Pirates. But there were signs of certain growth, I think, in the second half, right?
Yes. And I think it's really interesting because Keller came up with a lot of excitement and hype. It didn't he didn't get there. And there's a lot of people that have looked at the Pirates over the years, kind of like you were talking about with the Brewers and developing hitters. Where are the pitchers with the Pirates? Like, Garrett Cole leaves, he becomes a star. Like, there's all this talk about the way they teach pitching there, much like the Royals too, actually. In the case of Keller, he showed up a couple years ago throwing 99 miles an hour. He went to drive line and the whole thing, and he was the poster boy for, oh my gosh. And his ADP went up 100 spots in the preseason because he was throwing 100 miles an hour. Didn't do anything. But to his credit, I think he's learning how to pitch, right? And when you come up with the expectations being sky high, if you're just good, you're disappointing. If you're average, you're really disappointing. I think he's going to get to at least average. I think there could still be more. He comes in every year. He's diligent with his craft. He works very hard. He added last year the slider to his pitch mix, and it really made a difference. Zeri was under 3 his last 16 starts last year. He's adding the gyro ball this year. So he's constantly tinkering with his. I know there's an article I have over at Fantasy Guru talking about pitchers adding pitch and everything. Gyro ball, the Dice K pitch, if anyone remembers it. So he's constantly tinkering. He does have velocity. He does have a pedigree. He's building up some durability too. And I agree with you. I think that, late in drafts, this is not a name to forget about. Is there a breakout coming on this team? Can he win games with this team? I don't know. But I think he's forgotten by a lot of people because of the disappointments, and he really shouldn't be.
Here's what I'd spotlight, Ray. His last 15 starts, about half a year.
Mm-hmm.
2 or fewer runs in 10 of 15.
Yeah, pretty good.
He had a 2.7 ERA. He was about 8.2 Ks per 9. He only, though, got 3 wins out of those 15 games. And we were talking about Montgomery versus Keller. There's your big difference. I could see Keller, Ray, going 175 innings this
Could
year.
happen. Mm-hmm.
I could see him having a 3.4 ERA. Maybe getting to 8.5 Ks per inning. That's a profile that's kind of similar to Montgomery that we were talking about. But that big difference is just going to be the wins, where you could say, okay, Montgomery gets you 12. Keller, if you get the 10, you throw a party. Honestly, if you get the 10 with this team, you're ecstatic. I still think he's drafting, Ray, because the ratios help, the innings help.
Mm-hmm.
It could be irritating. There's going to be times where the Pirates just play like the Pirates, and he's going to get screwed over, and you're going to get screwed over as a fantasy owner. But I think, Ray, he will be so bludgeoned by, Mitch Keller, he's been a bust, and he still plays with the Pirates, that he's going to be like a bench round pick in mixed leagues. It's going to be an easy get as your 7th or 8th pitcher, I think.
Yeah, and let me pull up his ADP. 452 in the month of March. So he's not even being drafted. Because his 15 teams, 30 spots, 450. Not even being drafted. So again, this is, he is someone that, 10 and 12 team leagues, he's going to be that proverbial guy this year that is picked up off the waiver wire. You use him for 4 or 5 starts, you let him go, your team, your league mate picks him up. It could be one of those things, because even when he had the success at limiting the runs last year, his whip was still like 135 or something. It wasn't great, and the strikeouts aren't 1 per inning. So he's not a dominator, but I think he's learning his craft, and the workload component does, create a scenario where he'll be of interest at some point, at least in your mixed league.
Our final name is one from Cincinnati. There's a guy actually in their outfield that we're going to position here as an under the radar asset. Ray, it's a guy who has played parts of 4 seasons. Over those 4 years, he has played 1 actual major league season. So you throw all the games together, he's about 165 games. So in 1 full season, 20 plus homers, over 15 stolen bases. That's about the extent of it. Mid 60s for runs, mid 60s for RBIs. The average is nothing. Jake Fraley of the Cincinnati Reds. And Ray, I've kind of mocked this outfield in the preseason, and Fraley's probably a part of that. He came over in the Seattle-Cincinnati deal last season. So, Ray, he comes over, and he's going to be given a shot. He'll have every shot to play as much as he wants here. If he gets 130 games, Ray, it could be 2015. I mean, that's in this ballpark with playing time, you can just fall asleep to some numbers, I think.
And he's got that pine tar on his shoulder, too. Look at that photo. Nice. No, I've written about Jake Fraley, talked about Jake Fraley multiple times in all kinds of articles over at fantasyguru.com, target guys, lower potential breakout guys, even though I hate the term, right? Sleeper player. you look at his minor league numbers, 367 on base percentage, really good. And you look at his work the last 2 years, both years, his walk rate was in double digits, and his on base percentage the last couple of years in the majors is 348. So when you talk about a player who's legitimately capable of getting on base at about a 350 clip, who's got speed, like you're saying, 15, 20 steals, I think is doable. In that ballpark, 15, 20 home runs is doable. And as we are talking, he's done that. And it's 4 seasons, so no one knows. It's multiple teams, so no one knows. But he's done it in the big leagues. It's not in the minors. He's done it in the big leagues. And like you said, 582 plate appearances. It's a full season of work. So he's already done it. And I think with his approach the last 2 years, getting back to where it was in the minors, the willingness and the ability to take a walk, the days of him hitting the low 200s are gone. He can hit 250 this year as well.
Fraley or Happ? Who would you rather have?
I think Happ is more stable. And I think Happ is less inclined to lose his spot on the diamond. I think Fraley could struggle, and then the questions come up. Then they start hearing, "Oh, do we put Ellie De La Cruz in the outfield? What the hell?" You know, that kind of a thing. So Happ is the guy I would prefer for the stability factor, though the intrigue goes with Fraley, and the speed piece goes with him as well.
Okay. That is our look at some under-the-radar possibilities in the National League Central. Been kind of fun, believe it or not, talking about that division this week. We'll jump into another division next week. I believe next week we'll maybe... Yeah, where do we... We haven't done the NL East, so we better get to the NL East. We'll plan for that next week on the show to tackle all... Maybe AL East. I think we did. Yeah, AL East will be the plan. We'll just make a decision. I got 2 days for this, so I'll come up with some kind of answer. But I think AL East will be up next. Obviously, next week, positionally, we're going to jump into the outfield. And there are tons and tons and tons of names and things to discuss with outfields. That'll be all next week right here on Lunch Money. When we return after this quick break, let's go to the treasure trove. We do that every Friday. A special item from the closet and the treasure chest of Ray Flowers. And I'll do the same. Kyle Elfring's treasure trove. All of it's coming your way. More NCAA tournament talk. We've got dessert, some baseball. We'll check in on the news and notes. All coming your way as we keep the train rolling on this St. Paddy's Day edition of Lunch Money on the Bettor Sports Network.
Let's talk a little NBA, because I found it interesting yesterday with those that are now all of a sudden going to be critical of Nikola Jokic and what he's accomplishing this year for the Denver Nuggets. As Denver is the top seed in the Western Conference right now, they've won 44 games so far during the course of the NBA regular season, and Nikola Jokic is well on his way to being a three straight time NBA MVP in the regular season. He's been remarkable. He's averaging a triple-double, nearly 25 points per game, over 11 rebounds a game, and 10 assists per game. His remarkable accomplishments have really poo-pooed or knocked down the idea of voter fatigue, which was a huge part of the conversation coming into the NBA regular season, thinking that there have only been 3 men, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, that have ever won 3 consecutive NBA regular seasons. Mind you, you could never give that to Nikola Jokic, because think about the historical ramifications it would be in the NBA. LeBron's never done it. Michael's never done it. How could Nikola Jokic do it? And then you get this, and it's the case of the hot take world that we're in, or I need something to say, or let's think of a different angle to approach a topic. But the idea that Nikola Jokic is a stat padder is complete and utter nonsense. I mean, you've had one person after another come out saying Nikola Jokic is not looking at his stat line during the course of an NBA game. He's not focused in on whether or not where his rebounds are, where his assists are in any particular game. He's having an historic season. He's shooting nearly 64% from the floor. He is being economical in the way that he's going about his business offensively. He's distributing the basketball. He's also been a willing rebounder as well. Why be critical of something that we're watching, which is historic? We're seeing him do stuff that no other NBA player has ever been able to go out there and accomplish. So as we go and look at Jokic, and he is going to be the MVP. It's not going to be Joel Embiid with the Philadelphia 76ers. It's not going to be anybody else that you want to throw out there. As we watch the brilliance of the Denver Nuggets, and everyone looks at the Western Conference and wants to look at teams like the Phoenix Suns if Kevin Durant is healthy, or the Los Angeles Clippers, or the Sacramento Kings, or, you know, let's be honest, the very, very immature Memphis Grizzlies, and everybody wants to pick anybody else but the Denver Nuggets to come out of that West and get to themselves to the NBA Finals, even throwing the Golden State Warriors into it the equation as the defending NBA champs. Well, I think we have to have a lot of respect for what Denver's been able to do this regular season and a healthy respect of going into the postseason. And I also think we have to have a respect of what Nikola Jokic is accomplishing as well and not be critical just for the sake of being critical. That, to me, is utterly nonsense. For more content like this, check out Bettor Network at TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and also on YouTube.
Lunch Money, where we don't take your money, we make you money. Now back to Kyle Elfrink and Ray Flowers.
And we also have some fun, Ray. Numero dos.
Kyle's making it happen. Ray's still sipping one.
I hadn't planned on it, and then I had that gum from that baseball.
That's understandable. Yeah.
Heather was suggesting I go floss my teeth or Listerine. I'm like, hell no, I got Guinness in the fridge. Why am I going to do that?
Better way to do it.
We got our first final in the NCAA tournament today. Congratulations to the Michigan State Spartans. They are a winner. 72-62. They were my pick against the spread. So they covered that spread. They were favored by 2.5. So I'm now 8-9 against the spread. I might quickly be 8-10 though. We got about 10 minutes to go in the Kennesaw State Xavier game. Kennesaw State's up by 13. They're a 14 seed, and they're beating up on Xavier. Again, 9:58 to go there. UCSB, they're now my Gauchos. Halftime, they lead Baylor by a point, and they're just underway, St. Mary's and VCU. It is an early St. Mary's lead, 10-8. About 11 and a half minutes to go in the first half. Again, we're going to be visiting with Mike Holland. Get you some more tournament discussion in just a bit, but right now it is time for our Friday tradition. It is time for our treasure trove. Ray, what's special today besides that beautiful green beard?
Thank you, sir. Yes, appreciate that. I have an 8x10 today, and this 8x10 is of a good player. Selected to 4 Pro Bowls. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2007 after leading the league in interceptions.
Okay.
He is probably most famous, though, for his reproductive talents. And the fact when he was interviewed during one of these specials, he legitimately couldn't name his children. Because there were too many of them. He couldn't remember all their names.
I forgot this guy.
At the time, I think there was 10 kids. I believe today there's 14. So 14 kids. And this photo, again, is fantastic. It's got a black and white background with the player himself in color, making an interception one-handed, eat your heart out of Beckham. And it's in color with Kyle's favorite. Heather Klein got it in the chat room there, Kyle. Look at that.
Okay. Nice work, Heather.
Antonio Cromartie. Look at that photo. Let me get a good angle on this.
That's a great looking photo.
Look at that. The one-handed catch as he's spinning down. It's in. I haven't seen many black and white in color like this. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty unique.
Pretty cool.
It's signed, but yeah, 4 Pro Bowls, 14 kids, doesn't remember their name, and one of the best athletes to play football.
Tell me the story. How did you end up with an Antonio Cromartie autographed 8x10?
Yeah, so I used to have Ryan Houston, who we used to work with at Fanball, had a friend who was in the memorabilia game, and he basically was the guy he worked for Upper Deck, he worked for Tops. He got the signatures. He was the guy that actually went with the players and all that kind of thing. And so he would randomly do shows around the area. And a couple of times I worked the shows. And I went there, I worked 3 hours in the booth, talked to people, hey, go to our website. We talk about football kind of thing. And so I was able to get a bunch of autographs. It's actually on the back. The Gale Sayers one I shared previously, same thing. So I was able to meet a bunch of players and get autographs because a friend of a friend ran a company.
Okay. Antonio Cromartie.
Look at that
of
photo.
all the many autographs Ray was going to pull out today, I didn't see that one popping loose.
It's a great photo, though.
Can you see who that receiver is? Is that number 80? Who's in the foreground there?
Reggie Wayne, 87.
Reggie Wayne. Yep. Pass intended for Wayne there.
Nope, but he got it.
Yeah, very nice catch. Okay, pretty good treasure trove. Mine, so today's St. Patty's. Now, I could have gone with that. My famed Pearl Jam Ireland poster with a leprechaun on it. the bottle of pure wacko that is in his shirt. That is a concert poster. Now, I'm not going to do this because you guys always see that. But I could have gone that way for St. Patty's. That is concert poster from 1996 during the very abbreviated tour for No Code, which was their fourth album that they released. It was abbreviated because that's when Pearl Jam said, we're not doing any shows at Ticketmaster places. Well, when you didn't do shows at Ticketmaster places, there weren't many places to play. So, it was a little easier over in Europe, but here stateside, I remember they'd play at places like Toledo. So you'd have everybody from Detroit and Chicago and Cleveland descend on Toledo. I did not ever, that was the first Pearl Jam poster I ever got. Opening with them were the Fastbacks, which is a legendary kind of punk rock band. I did not go to that. It was in Cork and Dublin. The reason I have this poster is I was a fan club member, and this would never happen today, but you would get, mailings every 6 months, and they'd have items for sale and stuff like a traditional fan club. And back then they had old posters. They didn't sell them all at the shows. Now it's a madhouse trying to get posters. It's like absolute anarchy. It's almost impossible to get a lot of these posters. But back then, it wasn't seen as a huge collectible. So I got that poster many months after the fact, and it cost me like $10. It's probably worth $800 now, I'm guessing, is my guess. It's all over the place. But that's not what I want to go with because everybody sees that. Instead, I'm going to stay in the world of music. I'm going to stay with an Irish export. We heard a song by these guys earlier. I present to you the best album, in my humble estimation, by U2.
Okay.
I don't know. For me, it's not close. Now that is going to probably set off the U2. I like U2, but I'm not like gaga go crazy for U2. But Achtung Baby by U2. This is 1991. This is an absolute from beginning to end. I will spin it today after I'm done with Ray. From beginning to end, this is an absolute gem. This is the vinyl. I've had this for many, many years. The one thing I like about this vinyl is when you're U2, you're rich, you get to do whatever you want. I mean, like the packaging, like real bands don't get this packaging. Like Ray, there's so much crap in here and it's all cool and it looks neat and it's glossy and the records are heavy. And like when you're a big time band, you get big time vinyl. So this is U2 Achtung Baby. For a lot of people, One is on this, that they would recognize that song, but I'm not kidding you. It is on and on and on with great songs.
What's your favorite
of the songs?
Yes.
Until the End of the World are Mysterious Ways. I'd probably go Mysterious Ways. But from beginning to end, and like I said, I'm not a big U2 guy, and I know they've lost the script here in the last like 20 years, and now they kind of just tick everybody off, It's like, oh God, U2, shut up. But it's still a wonderful album, such a great listen. I pulled it out today since we are celebrating all things Irish. Still will be legends. They've got 7 or 8 incredible songs and albums. I shouldn't say songs, albums. Have you ever seen U2, Ray?
Have I ever seen them?
Yeah, like concerts.
No, I haven't.
Me neither.
I have. For those people, I'm always reminded about it. When Bono is a character on South Park. Did you ever see that South Park episode?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
no.
You can look it up. By the way, he's not actually a human, so I won't blow it. But you should look it up. But no, I don't never caught him on TV or anything like that, and I certainly haven't seen him myself in concert.
Yeah, like it. If you get a chance, give it a listen. The entire thing from start to end. And the great thing about this is this was, and it's well known now, a reinvention, a total successful reinvention. They went way more kind of almost industrial rock with this thing, which that's not who they were before this. And the great ones are able to do that, and they certainly pulled it off there. So that will be my treasure trove on this St. Patrick's Day edition. I bet a guy like Bono, even though he's Irish, probably doesn't even celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Who knows? I think they're coming to Vegas. They're going to play that big.
Yeah.
They're opening up the big ball, if you will, the concert venue. So maybe I'll get lucky and I'll end up out there. I tell you, if I was walking the Vegas streets, Ray, and somebody said, "Hey, $300 tonight to go watch U2," I'd go. I'd spend the $300. I'd be in. I bet Ray would take his lady to that. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
You're not into U2, I can tell.
I'm personally not, and I don't think she is. I could ask. I don't know.
You can ask that question. I should be like, "What are you talking about? Where'd that come from?"
Yeah, right. What, Kyle?
Tell her,
Oh,
well, honey, I
Kyle.
thought we'd go to Las Vegas and get tickets to this.
She's not a Las Vegas kind of gal.
No. Okay. Okay. Well, I tried.
You did.
Let's take a break here. Time out. NCAA tournament day 2. When we come back, we're talking NCAA day 2, day 1, day 3. We'll get you up to date on everything that is shaken. We'll do it next, right here on Lunch Money.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Bettor Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft, oh well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2-3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, when you're organized, so when you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network. It's always lunchtime here. Now back to Kyle Elfrink and Ray Flowers.
And today it's been Guinness time on this St. Patrick's Day edition of Lunch Money. Hopefully some of you can enjoy the finer side of life after you get off work today, or maybe you're already off work and enjoying the finer side because you're watching the tournament. Speaking of that NCAA tournament, do we have one final today? Michigan State has taken care of business against USC. The Spartans winning by 10. Things are becoming a bit more tight for 14th-seeded Kennesaw State. They've been up like double digits, feels like the entire game. But right now with 4:45 to go, Xavier is now on top by a point. So a big, big run by the Musketeers. Almost called them the Mouseketeers. The Musketeers. The other 14 seed, UC Santa Barbara, is actually in the lead at the half. They are defeating Baylor 36-35. For more on today and for more on the NCAA tournament, let us check in with our man, Mike Holland. Catch him, of course, pretty well every Friday here on Lunch Money. We talk college basketball with him. He is a part of Green Screens Media. Green Screens Media will probably get going tonight, I'm guessing, with a recap of first round action. You can catch them over there on their YouTube channel. I believe we do have Mike. Let's see if we've got Mike with us. I'm waiting for Mike. I don't see Mike. Ray, you don't see Mike, do you?
I don't. We had him, but I don't see him now, Kyle. I don't know.
Okay,
What
we
happened.
might have lost Mike. I do not see him. So, Mike, if you're watching us, we have lost you. You can get in touch with our producer, Heather Klein. But busy day, no doubt, for the tournament. Ray will not be watching. Ray, what will you be doing this weekend? Then you just got a lot of draft stuff, I guess, going on.
Yeah, I'm going to be covering all the events over at Sirius for Tout Wars Saturday and Sunday, doing a lot of that. Working with you a little bit too, I think. AL auction on Sunday, NL auction, I think the fall Saturday. Excuse me, NL I think is on Sunday. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A thing on Saturday. We got a mixed league auction on Saturday, so lots of baseball over the weekend for me, Kyle.
Yep, we'll be recapping probably a lot of that come Monday because Ray and I will be covering plenty of it at Tout Wars. Okay, now I see our man, Mike Holland, so let's talk some hoops with him. Mike, it is a pleasure to have you with us. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. This has been a fun tournament. Less than 1% of brackets still alive. So
is it really? We've already
long.
eliminated 99% of the. Is your bracket still perfect, or are you blown up? I guess.
That was 13 to 16, so it looks okay.
Yeah, better than I think my bracket looks.
Yeah.
How about today? I know we had the final with Michigan State, but how about these 14 seeds? Kennesaw State playing pretty well against Xavier, and also UC Santa Barbara hanging with Baylor right now, right?
Yeah, we actually talked about both of these teams being on upset alert, especially Baylor. Baylor really struggles to defend backcourts. AJ Mitchell is a dynamic pick and roll point guard. And you're seeing that they're getting open looks in the lane. They're getting open threes. And that's why they're down 1 at half. So it's going to be interesting to see what adjustments Baylor's going to have to make in order to stop him from getting into the lane and getting these guys open shots.
So again, those games still ongoing. We'll have 4 more later this afternoon. We'll have the evening games. We'll talk about those coming up with Mike. But I guess before we focus on that stuff, Mike, let's talk about last night. We had a couple of big upsets. Virginia goes down. Arizona goes down. Victories to Princeton and to Furman. So I got to ask you, when an upset like that happens, when you look at those two games, is it a matter of the underdog winning that game, or is it a matter of the favorite in those two cases giving away that game?
Well, I think for Virginia, it was a matter of Furman taking it to them. Virginia shot 2 for 12 from 3. A very poor decision there by Kihei Clark, who's had an outstanding career, to really allow that to happen. But Jalen Slauson and Mike Bothwell for Furman. These two guys are 2 of the top 100, 150 players in the country, playing on a mid-major team that not a lot of people know about. And Jalen Slauson is so dynamic and really showed that. So I think it was more of a Slauson, taking it to Virginia than it was Virginia giving it away. Obviously, that last possession was a giveaway, but the fact that Furman played well the entire game, I think it really speaks volumes to them. When you look at Arizona, that was Arizona losing that game. I mean, you look at it, they held Princeton to 40% shooting, 16% from 3, but they themselves, who are a top 20 3-point shooting team, didn't make any threes. They made 3 threes, 3 out of 16. Their guard play was not good. Princeton just played in control and took advantage of some missteps here, and that's why they moved on.
Well, let's talk about those teams a little bit more, Mike. Princeton, Furman, they win in another game. The Tigers play the Missouri Tigers on Saturday. Furman gets San Diego State. They going to make it to the next round, or is it one and done for both those squads?
Yeah, I think it's one and done. I think Furman has a better chance. They're playing San Diego State, who is basically Virginia with a couple of better offensive players. You look at Matt Bradley and Jaden Ledee for San Diego State. They can kind of get their own shot, whereas Virginia really doesn't have that guy outside of Armand Franklin, who didn't have a great game, to really go out and get his own shot. So San Diego State's super tough on defense. They're a top 10 defense. They have like 12 guys they run out there, so foul trouble is never going to be an issue for them. Super deep team, so looking for San Diego State to move on there. And Princeton, they're going to run into a very, very tough Missouri team. The SEC showed out. Coach Dennis Gates, he's one of my favorite coaches coming over from Cleveland State, brought his best player with him in Demoy Hodge, and he's gone absolutely nuclear here over the last 2 weeks of the season. really showing out. That was a really good Utah State team, a great three-point shooting team. I think Princeton's going to struggle to keep up with Missouri here.
Talking Mike Holland here. Mike, I'm not a college basketball guy. You've known that. We don't only have you on every once in a while. I always tell you, I don't know what the hell this is. Zach Edey is a 7'4" guy. And, tonight Purdue's taking it on Fairleigh Dickinson. And I haven't seen the 7'4" guy play. There's a lot of excitement about what he could do at the next level. Can you kind of give us a little bit of a scouting report with him?
Yeah, for Edey, I mean, he should absolutely smash tonight. I don't think he plays more than 25 minutes here. That's been the big thing for him since last year. He's gotten into great shape, and that's really why he's taken off. You look at Fairleigh Dickinson; they've got no chance here. There are 363 teams in Division I basketball. Their average height is 363rd. This is going to be disgusting. He's going to be able to find open shooters. So if you're looking at the points, I think Purdue's going to get up by 30 here and put it home. So for his prospects at the next level, there was talk that he's been working on a 3-point game in practice. We haven't really seen much of that, but these types of players, we don't really see them do well at the next level. The game is so much more versatile. You got to be able to shoot the three. You got to be able to run the floor really well. It's so up and down. These scores this year are absolutely insane. So for Edey, I feel like staying in college with NIL is probably the best route. You look at somebody like Kofi Coburn, who was a 20-10 guy for Illinois last year, goes into the draft and does not get drafted. Sheboy is probably in that same boat. There is a home for big men in the college game because there's so many different styles and there's just less athleticism, between the 32 teams in the NBA. So, I think for me, Edey is probably best served staying in college. If he develops a 3-point shot, he could probably be a pretty good, either a backup big or someone that you can play, the first 5-8 minutes of the game, probably play him 16 to 20 at the next level. Just not very athletic. He's going to struggle with some of these stretch fives like Embiid and guys like that. So very fun player to watch in college, though.
Again, he'll be on the court tonight, 7 o'clock. Purdue taking on Fairleigh Dickinson. Again, we're joined by Mike Holland with Green Screens Media. Mike, coming up in our next set of games this afternoon, we've got maybe 3 games that, to me, I feel like people are saying, oh, upset's possible. Pitt, who we saw the other night against Mississippi State, today they're taking on Iowa State. NC State and Creighton, that's a 6 versus 11 game. And then Iona and UConn, which is a 4 versus 13 game. Of those 3 games, do you see upset potential in any of those 3?
I don't see upset potential in the Pitt-Iowa State game. Pitt snuck by Mississippi State by 1 point, where Mississippi State, the worst 3-point shooting team in the country, decided to jack up over 23s. Iowa State is as good defensively as Mississippi State is, but they have better shooters, and they're not going to take 23s. They're going to pound the rock inside. So that was an interesting thing to see the other day from the Bulldogs, and that's why Pitt survived. But I think this is where it ends. If you're not watching NC State and Creighton, I think this is going to be the most exciting game, first-round game of the tournament. I mean, NC State has a loaded backcourt. Terquavion Smith and Jarkel Joyner are so much fun to watch. Creighton's starting 5, I'd put them up with the best in the country. Ryan Kalkbrenner, the big man in the middle, is going to be the difference. How does NC State guard him? So I'm definitely tuned into that one. I do think Creighton pulls that one out just because they have the size advantage there. And then Iona, Rick Pitino, right? He's back. He's been basically linked to every job in the country already. St. John's, Georgetown. He's obviously going somewhere. He gets a UConn team that at one point was 14-0 and number 1 in the country. And, it's going to be a battle of the bigs. Adama Sanogo is going to take on Nelly Jr. Joseph from Iona here. And, the thing about UConn and why they're so dangerous is, 1, they're very deep. They can play different styles. 2, they're number 1 in the country in offensive rebounding percentage, and they're top 100 in 3-point percentage. So a ton of offensive rebounds coming their way, a bunch of kick-out shots for 3. I just don't see many upsets in the late action here. But we're paying attention to this early action.
Yeah, we got some games going down to the wire that could be some upsets. One last quick thing on the schedule for today. That Furman, Virginia game, everybody was on that from the get-go. They said, oh, man, watch out, Furman could pull up the upset. The other game I feel like has had kind of that feel from the very moment it was announced is a game tonight with number 12 or 12th seeded Drake taking on Miami. Do you think we could see a 12 upset of 5 there later tonight?
I think this is the best opportunity to see an upset tonight. We're very high at Green Screens Media on Furman, Oral Roberts, Drake, some of our favorite mid-majors. But when you saw the draw for Oral Roberts, who got Duke, and you see the draw for Drake getting Miami, it just doesn't match up well. I got Miami here. Miami's got a ton of guards. Nigel Pack, Isaiah Wong. Those guys are very dynamic, and it's basically been mentioned that Norchard Omie, who's the big man in the middle for Miami, who is a great defensive player, is gonna play here. So that's a huge boost for Miami here. Drake, they're one of the most experienced teams in the country, so they're always going to have a fighting chance. I think the Vegas line is 1 or 2 right now in favor of Miami. So it's going to be an exciting one. I just think the guard play for Miami is just superior to the guard play for Drake.
Mike, let's look ahead to the weekend before we let you go. Let's talk about game action tomorrow. Give us your 2 favorite games on Saturday and maybe a couple reasons why you highlight those 2 games.
Yeah, the talk is going to be about Auburn and Houston. With Houston and their injury issues, it was reported last night that Jamal Shed, their point guard, is having some issues with his knee. And then also we saw Marcus Sasser there. He was coming in with a groin injury. I kind of surprised he played. Didn't play in the second half. That's a lingering groin issue that's going to be an issue. So, I look for an athletic Auburn team who has been up and down this year to give them a really good challenge. We saw Houston get challenged by Northern Kentucky. So Houston is on upset alert tomorrow. And then Texas-Penn State is going to be an absolute battle of small ball. I do like Texas here. Texas is one of the few teams that can match up guard for guard with the spread out offense of Penn State. So it'll be interesting to see. Texas also has a couple of bigs that can get it done inside. So if you play, 4 out, 1 in, Penn State may struggle there as they're one of the worst rebounding teams in the country. But both of those games are going to be dynamite.
Looking at your background, Mike, I'm shocked you're going with the Longhorns there. Fun times for all. Tonight, you guys doing the live stream over on YouTube? Is that up? Okay, 11 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Come join us.
Yeah, so a full recap of everything that has happened on Thursday and Friday, and a look ahead to Saturday and Sunday. Those guys will be starting up at 11 o'clock, so it'll kind of give you your first take at the Saturday and Sunday matchups. Mike, a pleasure, man. Thanks for jumping on board. I know you've got one eye on all these games and trying to give us the breakdown, so we appreciate it on a busy day for you, and we'll talk again next week, okay?
Absolutely. I'm running back to the man cave as we speak.
Yeah, take it easy. Mike Holland there joining us from Green Screens Media, and when he gets back to that man cave, by the way, he is going to see a game that has 30 seconds left, and Kennesaw State and Xavier are tied at 67 all. About 16 minutes to go between UCSB and Baylor. Baylor has come out looking pretty good in the second half. They're up by 5 with 15 minutes to go. And then late in the first half, St. Mary's VCU, 29-28 in favor of St. Mary's with about a half minute to go in the first half. We will take our final breather here when we come back. Some final house cleaning, some dessert, some baseball news. Then we'll send you off into the weekend. We'll do that next right here on Lunch Money.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Bettor Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he not? I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah, okay. So if you want, I could do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover. And then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
no way you know.
And Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14.
No way you know.
14, also a trick question. I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders, unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my life.
Okay, keep on going.
15, you have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16, hold on. 16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17. Now, this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
My goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. But yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
We now know, but that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had 2 people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants on Bettor Sports Network.
That is a song that will be played probably close to 5 million times today. Kind of the way it goes around these days. We thank you so much for joining us on this St. Patrick's Day holiday. Ray, thank you so much for getting into the spirit and taking the step of coloring your beard and your hair. Let's not forget the hair. What's left of it on the side? You've got some green there too.
I got the little shamrock, and then I mean, it's kind of hard to do, but yeah. And as I joked about at the start, my gal said, "Should I do the top and give you hair?" And I'm like, "No, let's not get nuts." But we did do the green on the side.
You need a little leprechaun hat though, with the buckle on the front. I think that would really sell it, right? You can
find me over on Twitter and Instagram at the Ray Flowers, and someone sent that. They said, "Oh, you're looking good, Ray, but you need a cap." So yeah, I guess I'm a little lacking this year.
Can you jump and click your heels together, Ray? Are you able to do that?
I could do that.
Okay,
I don't think anything magical happens if I do, though.
Yeah. Well, have you ever tried it? Who knows?
I actually haven't, so maybe you're right. I don't know.
Maybe something magical will happen. It has been a treat to hang out today. I do want to thank our producers, Heather Klein and Will Shuitt, for helping out. Josh Winchester, I believe, is at like a Comic-Con or something, isn't he? Kansas
Something
City?
like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll have to, when Josh gets back on Monday, we'll have to get some stories. I'm sure he'll have like a top 5 moments. He's probably in the process of geeking out at that Comic-Con. And he's probably in the process, Ray, of being grabbed by his collar and tossed out the exit. Because Josh is one of those guys, Ray, that I think gets pretty intense with the geeking out. Like he even knows like the voices of Ren and Stimpy, like who the voice, I mean, he knows all this crazy stuff that even I, loser that I am, wouldn't know.
Yeah, they he's involved. I think intense is a good word, right? So yeah, I bet that there's been a moment or two in his life, without knowing this, where he may have snuck beyond a rope line he wasn't supposed to, or I'm sure he's probably done that on occasion.
Yeah, but anyway, if you're in Kansas City, watch out. Josh is going to be hanging out there for the weekend. He'll be back with us on Monday. I think he's going to like a big Comic-Con in Chicago pretty soon too, so he's going to have maybe even some coverage here at BSN. We told you about the Bettor cast tonight, going to tie into the NCAA tournament, your chance to win $100 to the Bettor Sports merchandise spot online. Also tonight at 7 o'clock, we've got Campus to Canton coming your way. Now you might say, wait a second, how can you do both? Bettor cast is on the app. So that's through your app, through your phone. The Campus to Canton show tonight, 7 o'clock, that will be online. The old-fashioned way, I guess. Computer, Facebook, all that stuff, Twitter. I think you can find it there. So you want to go and get caught up on all things NFL prospects, free agency, all that stuff. Even Ray Flowers would probably rather talk football than college basketball tonight. So there you go, Ray. You're covered.
There's my opportunity.
Big news for the weekend. Told you about the big news today. Yordan Alvarez finally swinging a bat. Here's some news, Ray. Jake DeGrom will make his spring debut on Sunday for the Texas Rangers. How many pitches do you think we're at with DeGrom?
45. What do you think?
45?
I'm guessing. What do you think last time? 24? So that'd be almost double that.
Yeah. I'd say 40.
40
they may push him to 50. If he's on cruise control.
They might.
That then puts probably one more start. You'd probably be Thursday or Friday of next week. And then that would line you up for opening day the following Thursday. So that would be my expectation. We've got a final, it looks like, in that March Madness. Looks like that the dream is over, Ray. Kennesaw State will not get the victory. 68-67. A victory for St.
Denied at the rim with the chance to win is what we're seeing there in the chat, Kyle. Could have
now
happened.
my Gauchos are even falling behind. They're trailing by 9.
Oh man.
Everything is hitting the fan right now. Kennesaw State, no upset for you. Come back next year, I guess. Before we get out of here, we told you about the show tonight, Campus to Canton. Also want to remind you, if you head over to bettorsports.com, our Bettor Baseball Preview is available. Ray Flowers with some player profiles, Adam Ronis, player profiles, Cody Decker, player profiles, Kyle Elfrink, player profiles, and a lot of other things too. So as you get set for the baseball season, it's totally free. It's not like you have to pay $10 for this stuff. Totally free. You sign in, create an account, boom, you're good to go. So do check that out. I know we're starting to get a little more serious about the baseball planning. We got all these tout war drafts taking place this week in New York City, and we'll have a full recap of that. But as you get set for your drafts, make sure to hit up that Bettor Baseball Preview. Okay, Ray, it is now time to go to our dessert of the day. And this is one that you're going to have to explain to us, Ray. Okay?
Okay.
The most polite states in America. Where do you think California's at?
I would say middle of the pack. It used to be different here. Inflation's hitting hard. People are getting pissed off. Things are expensive. People are leaving the state. I'd say right in the middle.
You're 50th.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the only state more, I love this. The only state less polite, or I should say, yeah, the only state that's maybe slightly more polite than you is Kansas. And again, they like you just laid it out with California. Kansas has a lot to be upset about. It's Kansas. Okay. A lot of stuff. But California, Ray, and I will say this is a little faulty. Ray, they looked at search terms over the previous year on Google. Terms like beg your pardon, cordial, excuse me, gracious, please, thanks so much, thoughtful, well-behaved. They followed all the searches over the previous year, and California per 100,000 residents, 10 of those 100,000 residents had searches with those words. Compared to number 1, Montana, 273,000, Ray. 273,000 per 1,000. I don't even know if there's 100,000 people in Montana, by the way.
Is that the right way to judge this?
No, it's not at all. And Montana is like far and away, I guess, the most polite state.
Okay.
Which I've never been to Montana. Have you?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so I can't speak to it. Maybe they are super polite. Maybe I lose my mind with how polite Montana is. Vermont is 2. Alabama's 3. Minnesota, Delaware, Wyoming, Arkansas, and Utah. What I'm learning here by looking at that list is if you live in the woods, you're nice. Because that's how you draw people in.
Yeah, you got to be polite to people so they don't shoot you when not hunting. That too. Yeah, draw people
They are very polite, Ray, and then you see their axe in the back of their car.
Oh, it's not Halloween, it's St. Patrick's Day. Come on.
Yeah. But anyway, California's dead last on that list, Ray. So you need to work on your manners, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you, the local market that my gal goes to, I've told the story where she gets carded. She got carded again yesterday. And she finally said to the checker, I'm in here 2 times every week. Like, what? Well, and the lady said, well, you should take it as a compliment. Stop checking for my ID. This lady's checked her ID like 5 times. Come on.
It's fine to check it, but now she knows that she's of age, right?
Yes, she checked it 5 times. You don't have to ask for it a 6th time. Come on.
I know when I got my Guinness yesterday, Ray, didn't have to worry about that. Didn't have to worry about it at all. Okay, you have a great weekend. You're going to be doing like all things drafts. And me and you are going to be hosting. You're not in any of the drafts, are you?
Not in any of the drafts this weekend. Chose to host them instead. The draft I was supposed to be in the same time as our show here, so I backed out of that, obviously, to do the show. So, yeah, we'll be covering the drafts there over on Sirius. Draft book is going up later today at Fantasy Guru for the big draft weekend. Obviously, the rankings have been updated at the site, but the draft book that combines the rankings and the auction values kind of in a perfect draft scenario. I'll have that updated this afternoon.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it was a fun week here on Lunch Money. All the free agency, spring training, shortstops, and NL Central. We'll do it again next week. Have a great weekend, a good St. Patty's Day. Catch you on Monday right here on BSN.